Welcome to the show. I'm Riley.
I'm David. Then
one of you now.
I'm Bell.
Yep.
And I'm Ethan.
Ethan.
Hi.
Channel Super
And
Fun.
Bell's back.
Hi.
And today we're discussing season 4 of the Duffer Brothers sci-fi horror drama Stranger Things. We'll laugh, we'll argue, we might get a little too into it, but at the end of the day, they're just movies.
Spoiler alert. I don't know.
That was a
stranger one.
That was a dead ringer for Vecna.
Yeah, people tell me all the time I look just like him.
I'm so sorry.
Next week we're doing Thor, Love and Thunder. Lots to say, but this week it's Stranger Things all the way into the Upside Down and back again. David, what'd you think?
Stranger Things may no longer be quite as novel, and its writing problems are becoming a little more obvious. But goddamn, season 4 delivers on the thrills, evolving into one of the most epic shows Netflix could ever offer. 8 out of 10.
Nice.
I really liked this season.
Yeah.
I've been hit or miss on this show. I've obviously watched it the whole way through.
Thank goodness, because here we are about to talk about it.
I just skipped a few episodes of season 3. And I was worried that the show was only going to be really good in its first season, that it was like a fresh new thing. But I think they've found a new footing and they're like delivering a really fun horror adventure.
Cool.
like
All right. Who's next? Ethan or Bell?
Oh, Lord.
Put it down in the comments below.
Bell, you go.
All right. Stranger Things takes things to the next level by putting their beloved group of misfits in their most dangerous situations yet, but separately for some reason. Though it teeters into cheesy CW teen drama territory, I still enjoyed most of my time with the latest Hawkins shenanigans, though it should have been half as long. 6.89 out of 10.
Interesting.
29.
Okay.
Not even nice.
I don't disagree
I
with
tried
some
to
of that
avoid
stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed Stranger Things. I liked season 3 quite a lot.
Same.
But I was just like, man, this is 13 hours of content.
It's a lot.
And I was like, there's some episodes where I took notes where there's like literally nothing. I didn't feel like it progressed the story. So.
Yeah. Ethan?
I just want to be honest first. So I went into this thinking this was the very last season. Completely.
Same.
I told all my friends. And
I kind of
everything.
thought that too.
I think there was said there somewhere they said that.
Yeah, and I didn't notice until the very last episode. I watched it and I was like, God.
You're like, this isn't a very neat ending here. It doesn't seem like they're tying up the bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that they were doing season 5 like before the last couple episodes, so then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I guess here's my little thing. Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 1 and 2, Episodes 1 through 8 are some of pop culture's funniest relatable moments from a time I don't personally remember, the 1980s. Half horror, half romance, it has me laughing at Gorgons, Demogorgons, Full Gorgons, Dusty Particle Gorgons, and Will every time he tried to cry.
Oh, wow.
I genuinely enjoyed the show, and I'm definitely the demographic for the show, I think. I would give it an arbitrary number of 8.
What do you mean arbitrary?
Because I like I said, I don't watch much TV. So out of all of the TV shows I've watched, from The Office to half of, what was it? I don't know.
You don't even remember the only other show you've ever
There's
watched.
one other show
and
I've
you
seen.
don't remember.
Yeah,
I'm 8 years old.
Survivor season 6 only.
I was thinking between a 6 or a 9.
Yeah.
Because some
2 of
moments
the
were
greatest
great,
numbers.
some were-
Huge range.
Exactly, right? But can't give it a 7 because 7's a bad number. So
What?
Unlucky?
7? No, it's just like pick a number between 1 and 10.
This is the most nonsensical slogan and rating we've had on the
I like
podcast
it.
ever,
I
but I
like it.
love the
Zoomer
energy.
energy,
Ethan.
yeah.
Chaos, yeah.
This is some Channel Super funny energy. Here's my slogan. After falling down a little bit in season 2 and 3, the series is running back up that hill in season 4. With grounded mental struggles, tight action sequences, some excellent new characters, and a darker tone appropriate for the now slightly older kids in the show. It hasn't reached the top of the hill, where season 1 still sits, but I think 4 is my second favorite. Ahead of 2 and 3. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.
We're on the
I
same
liked it,
level.
yeah.
Well, the weakest link has been revealed. Let's kick him out.
We've
Awkward.
been in sync recently, David.
I like it.
Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's
what
no
happened?
one to mess up
now
our
that James
frequency.
isn't here.
I know. All my ratings
was
were to
keeping me-
impress him, you know?
I just want James to think I'm smart. And we're going to have so many smart things to say about this after these words from our sponsors.
Ooh.
Thanks to Secret Lab for sponsoring this video. Secret Lab chairs are designed to keep you comfortable for those long nights of work and play. Their Titan Evo 2022 series chair, which we're sitting in right now, All of us?
We're not all in 2022s, but we're all in Secret
Awkward.
Labs.
It offers 4-way lumbar support, comes with a magnetic memory foam head pillow, and is offered in different upholsteries like hybrid leatherette, soft weave fabric, and Napa leather. Best of all, a 5-year extended warranty is included along with a 49-day return policy, so you're covered if anything goes wrong. Like if you lean back too far and fall on the ground. Learn more about Secret Lab at lmg.gg/secretlabtjm. We're also brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 is designed to keep your family jewels safe with their ceramic blades featuring skin-safe tech to reduce nicks and cuts. Leave the cables at home with its new wireless charging system that is compatible with most Qi charging pads. It's cordless, waterproof, and gets 90 minutes of use on a full charge. So head to manscaped.com/TJM20 and get 20% off and free shipping today. Do you see how that works? The code is that it has 20 in it because you get 20% off. And we're also brought to you by Storyblocks. Ever needed a quick clip for a video but didn't have the capacity to make it yourself? Happens to me all the time. Storyblocks helps you bring your stories to life without sacrifice due to time, budget, or resource. There are over 1 million royalty-free assets for you to choose from, including 4K/HD footage, Adobe templates, music, images, and a wide array of diverse and inclusive content. There are subscriptions for every budget, so you can choose the plan that works for you. From their unlimited all-access plan that gives you unlimited video and audio downloads, obviously, to enterprise licensing so your entire company has access to assets as you need them. We use Storyblocks here on Linus Tech Tips, which is the channel we're currently on, as we don't always have time to go out and shoot the perfect B-roll footage, so take your videos to the next level by checking out Storyblocks today at storyblocks.com/TJM. And with that, we're in. Ethan, how have you only watched like one show in your whole life?
They don't have TV on
How is this
TikTok.
possible? Did you not have a TV growing up?
Just YouTube is way better.
So
Infinite
this is
shows.
interesting. We're getting a window into
The youths.
the youths.
I don't watch much movies or TV shows, every time I do, doesn't matter how bad it is, I just get fully absorbed into the show. And so all my friends are like, this is the worst show ever, or that foreshadowing was so obvious. I'm just sitting there like, oh, I love it.
So that's what you call that.
Yeah.
How is it that like you said you watched The Office and then one other show that you can't remember? How was this show the one that like locked you in and you ignored everything else? Game of Thrones? Never heard of it.
I started on no Game of Thrones. What's that trash? No.
Exactly.
So
I mean, you
started
weren't
season-
wrong.
Too many boobs.
What? Wait, what? I don't know.
You just
the
distracted him,
marketing?
he's
The
gone.
marketing just worked on you.
I guess so. I think everyone just said this first season was really good, and so I started watching it when season 2 came out. And ever since, I've been watching it with my friends. That's the biggest thing.
Your friends were into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Man, I have such good memories of this show. Like, I feel like season 2 and 3 kind of were like lackluster, but I keep coming back because season 1 was just so good.
So good.
I remember like I didn't even have a TV at that time. Lauren and I were like watching it on my laptop. We were like binging multiple episodes up until like 3 a.m. because we were like, okay, one more, because it was so good. And I feel like it's been riding on that for a little while.
I totally agree. Especially season 2, it felt like they had no idea where to take the show.
Yeah.
And it became this kind of character-driven drama where it felt like an acting workshop where they would have like 2 actors and then they'd be like, okay, now act.
Yeah.
And it was like there was not really a story. I don't really remember anything that happens. But I feel like they started to get momentum in the right direction with season 3. Like they kind of loosened up a little bit on the 80s, although they were still full 80s. And they started to build the world and the lore out again in an interesting way. And I think that's one of the strengths of this season is like, oh, they kind of bring the lore for full circle. And it's like, actually from the beginning, they had this vision and it starts to feel like there's a grander picture in play.
Yeah, I wonder if season 2 was like a bit of a wake-up call for them because the reaction wasn't super great. I think some people were just happy that like, you know, this really cool show was back, and I think people are willing to give the second season of a really good show more of a chance, and then like, okay, let's see what you do with season 3. And I wonder if that was a wake-up call because season 3 was a little better, and this one is like, it's like they kind of are bringing it back to what made the first season good. It was a darker tone, and I think you and I talked early on about like, because we had watched the first couple episodes and we're like, it's kind of gruesome in the first couple episodes, and you don't expect that.
That first murder, or the first death of Chrissy was like shocking.
It is shocking.
The show's been
It's
mildly
insane.
violent, but like generally it's kind of like, obscured or hidden, like off screen.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh, this is full Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
like
crazy.
the entire thing, even like when it shows the flashbacks right off the bat of what had happened in the facilities,
Yeah.
and like people getting ripped apart
Oh,
or
yeah.
pushed
Oh, my
into
gosh.
walls and like their spine cracking. I was
Yeah.
like, this is not what I expected. Even the gun violence, like
Yeah.
it'll just straight up show people getting murked and like falling to the ground. I was like, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is insane.
I mean, I think part of that comes along with the territory of just like, okay, we are advancing the plot and stuff, and we kind of have to up the stakes, and so there's going to be bigger action and stuff, but it was still kind of shocking.
But it worked. It's fun. And like I like the visual iconography they create, or like the kind of the Pavlovian bell they create of when someone goes floating, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then the way that they kind of unleash it at the end, and you're like, oh my God, this is it for that character.
Right.
But which character am I talking about? You'll have to tell me
In the synopsis.
synopsis.
Wow, thanks, David. I was looking for an opening there. So this is what happens in season 4. In 1986, 8 months after the events of Stranger Things 3, teenagers in Hawkins, Indiana start showing up murdered in mysterious ways. Eddie, the leader of the Hellfire D&D club, becomes the prime suspect. But Dustin, Max, Lucas, Steve, Nancy, and Robin, we got a lot of characters now,
So many.
soon discover that the murders were carried out by a powerful being from the Upside Down who they call Vecna, and who is targeting Max next. So they try to find a way to stop him while protecting Eddie from the town's psycho basketball team. Mike travels to California to visit Eleven, who has lost her powers and is being relentlessly bullied at school while living with the Byers. Joyce learns that Hopper may still be alive and goes on a rescue mission with Murray, leaving the kids alone. Due to the events in Hawkins, Eleven goes with Sam Owens and Dr. Martin Brenner, aka Papa, he's still alive, to a secret facility to regain her powers, unbeknownst to Mike. Unbeknownst to Mike, Will, Jonathan, and stoner pizza dude Argyle,
I love them.
who try to track Eleven down. While accessing repressed memories of her time at Hawkins' lab, Eleven learns that Vecna is actually Henry, aka One, another superpowered child who grew up imprisoned in the lab and murdered all the other children except Eleven, who sent him into the Upside Down, where he became Emperor Palpatine. After regaining her powers, she is rescued by Mike and co. after another government faction attacks the facility and kills Dr. Brenner. In Russia, Joyce and Murray manage to escape the Russian prison with Hopper, but they head back in and take out the captive Demogorgons, hoping to weaken Vecna's hive mind. In Hawkins, the crew formulates a plan to kill Vecna by using Max as psychic bait. Learning of this, Eleven piggybacks into Vecna's mind through Max, and they battle. But things do not go smoothly. Eddie sacrifices himself to protect the others, and Vecna succeeds in killing Max, opening up giant portals throughout Hawkins. But thanks to a pep talk from Mike, Eleven regains her strength and weakens Vecna, allowing Steve, Robin, and Nancy to defeat him. Temporarily? Eleven is somehow able to revive Max, but 2 days later, she remains in a comatose state. Everyone reunites as the town recovers from the quote-unquote earthquake, but Will senses Vecna is still alive, and the Upside Down begins to infiltrate Hawkins. Just jumping right to the end there, because I feel like we praised a lot of this so
Yes,
far.
you
I
can
want
do
to
one
start
negative.
with this thing. This season had Lord of the Rings ending syndrome, where it was like there was an epilogue that was like half an hour long.
Yeah, actually, I was watching it in the morning, and I was like, oh, I must be at the end. I paused it. I'm like, I'm going to go to the washroom, and it was still 35 minutes left. I'm like, how is this possible? Like,
Yeah.
they just finished the fight.
Yeah, they just beat him.
I did not understand the epilogue either because it was weird that like people didn't know Eddie died. I'm like, oh, that was weird that Dustin like springs it on them. He's like, oh, Eddie, he's dead. And then they're like all volunteering and having fun and stuff. I was like, this is
Yeah.
a weird
That was
little
pretty.
moment.
That was a pretty awkward little moment, especially because he has to tell his dad
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, I watched your son die.
Yeah,
I didn't hate that scene. I thought that was one of the few moments that made me feel a little emotional when he has to talk to the dad and I don't think they did a great job setting up the dad a lot. It feels like he was such a distant memory. I was like, oh yeah, him. It's so long ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I didn't hate that.
I just didn't like Eddie. So like anything to do with that, I was like, I know. I didn't want any hot takes. I was saying before we filmed, I didn't like Eddie and I didn't like Argyle. So
It's because
I was like,
he's British, isn't it?
who?
Eddie,
Joseph.
the actor, is British.
You know what?
He's yet another
That explains a lot.
another British actor who is doing a flawless American accent in this freaking show. What are you talking about? You didn't like Eddie? He's the best. Well, he's not the best. He's one of the best
I think
characters.
he might be the best.
Actually, no,
he's
is
the best new character. And I mean,
I was going to say Argyle, but Argyle's the second best.
I have a lot of problems with how they did him dirty with his ending.
Yeah.
But I
was
think...
like, what do you mean you're killing him?
And okay, let's talk about it right now.
But they had to kill him, because if they didn't, then the entire town would have killed him anyway when he goes back.
He doesn't get any
Oh.
justice. He's still the murderer.
I think he will.
I guess so.
I think like meta-wise, he's such a beloved character that they know they have to write at least some justice for him in season 5. I think that I'm willing to wait and see what they do in season 5, because I think the Duffer Brothers will see the online reaction and be like, okay, yeah, we got to do something.
He's going to turn into Vecna's little mini-me.
Well, that's...
Minions
I don't
3.
think that. I hope not.
Minions
but maybe.
3 starring Eddie in the Upside Down. What?
I think his sacrifice, they really failed to demonstrate why he needed to do what he did. They don't demonstrate that the bats are going to go and stop the other people, that like he needs to distract them for another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're just like, he's just like, I got to do this.
Yeah, or like why they couldn't just put a boombox.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, I think that they really failed to, especially when he
because
leaves
that
the
wouldn't
trailer.
be cool.
That was a really epic moment.
That was
I'm not
awesome.
gonna lie.
I really
That was,
love
like,
that
dope.
Master of Puppets
Yeah.
sequence, especially because it's intercutting with the other like rising action
Oh, yeah, it was
moments
awesome.
where it's like there's just a ton of really cool stuff happening. But as soon as he cuts the bed sheet going up to the regular world, and then he goes out and like runs out, I was like, this is stupid. This is clearly the writers started with the end goal of him sacrificing himself and then kind of worked backwards and didn't really justify why he needed to sacrifice himself. And it made me so frustrated because I think he's one of the most likable new characters the show has ever seen.
Yeah.
And they do that thing where they introduce a character in the same season, they'll kill them, and then there's so many main casts that need to be killed.
Yes. So they called it a bloodbath. They're like, this season's a bloodbath. And they introduce a guy and then kill him and everyone else is fine. I'm like, you've actually brought in more people because we thought Hopper was dead and he's not.
Exactly.
So
and Argyle's still
nothing
around.
has happened.
Yeah, none of the main... I mean, Billy died, but he wasn't like a main character.
Yeah, he's a
Again, he was
two-season guy.
introduced. No, I thought he was one season, wasn't he?
No,
he was
season
two
2,
seasons.
and then he
Okay.
dies in season 3. But he's barely in
Oh, that
season
was
2.
3, right?
He's just Max's shitty older brother
Yeah.
who like runs him down.
He doesn't have much to do in season 2. He's
But
just like...
he's the best in season
He's the new
3.
Steve Harrington in
Yeah.
well, he's the worst Steve Harrington.
Yeah, evil.
Man, I love Steve Harrington. Maybe just because I see myself in him.
No, you see yourself in the police officer.
I'm just the default white male.
You're the police officer guy.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name. I have it written down somewhere.
On
but,
the Line Detective subreddit, they say that I look like
Officer
Everett.
Callahan?
Everett, I think.
remember.
Yeah, he's the police officer with the glasses. He's also
I
in
see it a little
Search
bit.
Party.
He
I
even
freaking
acts
love.
like you though. He's like a little kind of like smug, funny.
I mean, I love that guy.
I was like, that is
I
Riley.
keep forgetting his name. It's like three first names.
You don't like Argyle though, hey?
No.
You think he's just too much?
Yes,
You don't like Eddie or Argyle?
No, I liked Argyle too. If you see him subtitle the other pizza shop,
Oh,
they title him as Argyle.
that was pretty
too.
funny.
I like
Oh,
that
that's
scene.
funny.
It's like-
I think it was a little bit silly how they're like, we'll pay you with this joint, and it's like
That was great.
I
That
don't
was
know.
so great.
Is that
Right?
really enough to like
Really?
have him risk his job? Is one
Probably.
joint?
It was like really good weed. It was like
Yeah.
the special weed.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah, is that purple? Whatever.
But then I do
Pineapple
love
Express.
that the climax takes place in the back of a pizza shop. I think that's way more fun than if they had gotten the motel.
Yeah.
I was
Oh my
like,
God.
this is actually just like a good little.
And when they were spinning the pizzas, though, wasn't that good? Tell me that wasn't. Tell me that wasn't.
When
right,
Argyle
you're right.
just
Yeah, I
like
can't say that.
everyone else is
Yeah.
preparing to fight the other
making
dimensional
a pizza.
entity, and he's just like, I'm gonna make a pizza.
And it has pineapple on it, so he's my guy. I should like
I
him.
loved Argyle. I just like, oh man, what's his name?
Maybe it's just
I
because
got
the
it open
entire
here.
California arc made no difference. They were just driving 11 around, and maybe if he had had more action other than just being scared, I would have liked it more. But it's just like scared, and I'm gonna get high, and driving while intoxicated isn't cool. So I was like, I don't really like it.
Eduardo Franco is the actor's name.
I think that the show does have a big problem with sloppy amounts of storylines that it's trying to wrap up. Like there's just so much that it tries to do.
Yeah.
And, like when I break it down into like numbers, there's probably just as many storylines I didn't care about as storylines I did care about.
See, I didn't think that the problem was too many storylines in this one because we have 3 locations. It's a season. It's a TV show with 9 episodes. It's like that's plenty of time to follow 3 different plots going on in different
But it's more,
locations.
I think it's like more than that though, because like there's like all the like subplots, like Jason, and you kind of forget Jason exists, and then he shows up with a gun.
the
and you're like-
basketball guy.
and you're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, he's still around. Okay.
He kind of becomes an afterthought in the later episodes.
Yeah.
Although I wonder how much of that is a result of the Volume 1 and Volume 2 break.
I'd be so curious.
I feel like I watched all the volume 1 episodes straight through, and then you had to wait a month for volume 2.
So I watched it straight.
Did that? Oh, you watched it all at once.
Yeah, I watched it all this weekend.
Oh, okay. So how was your experience then? Did you feel like it was like they kind of forgot about some of the plot threads in the later episodes?
It needs a break. This should have been weekly. I feel like, man, this was a lot of content. But I feel like, I didn't really notice there being any huge differences or pacing issues with watching it straight back to back. I feel like they pretty much had everything solid. I'm actually surprised they did a gap. Maybe it's just because the last episodes are so long. They wanted people to kind of catch up and then release the episodes.
I also think in a business sense, it makes a lot more sense to do weekly releases for your show, but Netflix has the reputation of being the binging channel, so you can't. So this is kind of like the compromise.
Yeah.
And I agree with you where I think I much prefer weekly releases. I think it's like there's a part of me that's like I want instant gratification. I want to watch the whole thing at once, but when I really think about it, I much prefer shows that I watch one episode and then think about for a week and then watch the next episode and think about for a week.
The problem is, I think, partly that we expect that weekly release. I think the weekly release thing works well for shows that are like really good. Yeah. And I think that like Disney Plus, I've been watching these Disney Plus,
Marvel shows.
I watched some of the Marvel ones. I've watched, I think, all of the Star Wars ones. I skipped like the middle 5 episodes of the Boba Fett show because I'm like, I'm not watching this. But like Disney Plus makes you wait a week for every episode, and then you watch it and you're just like, this is just a stupid cash grab. Why are you even making these? And so then you leave and you're upset.
You're right.
Meanwhile, if Netflix actually could do the weekly thing with Stranger Things, and I think it would work because the episodes are super long. They're each like a movie, and the quality is there to justify it.
I feel like I really don't like the weekly releases because then I end up spending too much time thinking about like, oh, now I got to plan my weeks, like the next 3 months around watching this one show.
What do you mean?
I'm just so invested in it.
What do you have to plan?
I just have to like plan, especially if I want to watch it with someone else.
That's fair with people.
Because I guess
you found 13 hours to sit and watch with somebody in a row.
Yes,
you watched it with someone.
Yeah,
but you have like a group of friends who are all into it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just I feel like, and I like how they split it up so you kind of have a little bit of time to look forward to the last episode.
Right.
But then again...
But then do you binge with like a big group of people?
Sometimes.
Did you watch with a big group of people, Jake?
No, I watched alone in the dark with a frozen pizza.
Oh, hell yeah.
The way it was meant to be.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Wait, are you still living with those roommates?
Yeah, I don't watch anything with them.
You guys don't watch anything together?
No.
You're not like, hey guys, let's have a Stranger Things night.
Shout out Jeff and Chase. No,
I knew you were living with people from work. I just forgot who the specific roommates were.
No.
Are you guys criers? Do you cry watching shows?
These guys all together?
Sometimes I get.
That's why they can't watch things together because they get embarrassed.
I was really close when Max's scene happened.
Oh,
that was because she's like crying out like I can't see or feel anything.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
Lucas's
that scene.
That shot
and then
where
he's calling
Lucas
out for
is
his
holding
sister,
her
and I was like, oh my god,
Ella's behind him.
That was pretty
That was
rough.
a powerful.
Yeah, but I thought you were talking originally about episode 4, which I think that like that was this episode that solidified that this season was. I mean,
that was great.
Which one was
at
that?
least that episode was like so quality. That running up that hill. I think I teared up at the end of that one. It's
powerful
because I was like, I think I hadn't felt that kind of emotion since season 1. So I think season 1, like everything was so tight. And season 2 and 3, it was just kind of like they lost their way a little bit. And so this episode 4, where they like have Kate Bush and this like really, and I also loved that we were actually delving into like Max's character for kind of the first time. Like she was always just kind of like seemed like a tangential character. Like she's there and she's like Billy's sister, so there's something there, but you're not really like invested that much.
Well, and she was always like I feel like if you were rooting for Mike, she was always the one that was whispering in Elle's ear to leave Mike. And so you're always like, screw you.
Yeah, she had that whole like subplot with Elle.
But I liked her.
Yeah, I liked it because she never, like, there was no forgiveness of like what Billy did. She still had to like come to terms with his loss, but it was never like, oh, what he did wasn't that bad when he was like harassing her or others or things like that. So there was no like, you have to forgive your abuser or whatever like that. It was just more like coming to terms with the loss and grieving it. And I was like, that's powerful.
I had forgotten that Billy sacrificed himself to save them. Yeah. So like he was a jerk in season 2. Season 3 he gets possessed, and then it's like he's not really even a character. He's just kind of like possessed evil person.
Acolyte or whatever.
And then at the end, El frees his mind, and then he chooses to sacrifice himself to save the kids. And I was like, okay, so that's nice that we get that, but at the same time, that doesn't change the fact that he was like an asshole
And a monster.
yeah, like a psychopath.
I like a lot with what they do of her visions too. Like even when she's first being brought into Vecna's mind at the end, and it's her and Lucas in the real world, and then you don't really know when the switch happens, but then she's like I had to tell you, like, I kind of wanted him dead. Like, I wanted this. And then Lucas starts freaking
like,
out at
what
her,
do you
but
mean?
it's actually Vecna.
Yeah.
That was such a good, like, at some point, I bet most people are just like, oh, yeah, this is clearly the Vision. But, like, at first you're like, oh, what the fuck? Oh.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was like,
this at
damn,
all.
Lucas, that's
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Like there's a point at which it becomes obvious because his eyes turn and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But up until that point, I think they did a really good job of making you kind of be like, wait, what? Is this real or what is this? Yeah.
Same with, like, even when she's in the house in the Vision and she sees Billy from like the sauna, like from season 3, and he's like breaking out and stuff. It was like such a good reminder. Oh, that was such a. I love all the fun, trippy visual memory stuff that they do.
Right.
I think it's really fun. Like even after the Metallica montage, it hard cuts to her at the Hawkins dance, but it's like completely silent and like the sound echoes out, and it's so eerie. It was like probably top 3 goosebump moments of the season for me, where it's like, oh God,
What is this feeling?
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But then to balance my good with a bad, when they do the psychic fight in that dance hall, it's so fucking bad. I'm so sick of psychic fights
Where
they
they're just
pick each
physical
other
fights?
up. Or no, they just pick each other up and throw each other away. Pick him up and then throw his arms over there and his legs
He can
over
just
there.
cripple people from
yeah,
like,
like
an
it's
infinite
so
distance.
stupid. They're like, I'm gonna throw Vecna over there and then I'm gonna go rush over to Max and hope that Vecna doesn't get up. This
Yeah.
super powerful being, like what? And it's like it's not even a physical fight. It's psychic inside the mind. So like he's a supernatural, like mental being. You think that one toss through like imaginary bleachers is gonna kill him?
Yeah,
Like,
this
what
is
the
what's
fuck.
this is what's so frustrating to me about this show sometimes is that like it's this sci-fi thing, horror thing with like supernatural elements or like powers or whatever, but the Duffer Brothers don't seem like they're that nerdy.
Yeah.
Like a true like sci-fi nerd or whatever would be like, okay, let's get creative with these powers. Like, what are we gonna do here? All right, he's gonna grab this and throw it over there, and because of something we saw earlier, they're not allowed to do this. You know, it's like there's systems. They don't seem to be really fans of systems as much as they are of like that kind of like 80s heart-fueled adventure romp with romance and drama and stuff. That's what they're more into.
I agree, and that stuff works, but it is disappointing when like the coolest part of their mind fight is when he picks up like splinters and throws it at him.
I was actually like, why have no one's done this
Yeah.
at all in this whole series? No one's picked something else up.
But then she doesn't even have to like deal with it in a creative way. She just
then
waves her
gets
hand
tossed
and then it
away.
gets tossed
Yeah.
away. It's not like she had to like pick up
And
something
he's just
to
like
catch.
He
nodding.
just
Yeah,
gives
I'm
up.
like,
He's
okay.
like, I guess I won't try that one.
Yeah. It's always
the point.
frustrating me when there's like a mind fight. Love Argyle be like, mind fight. When there's like a mind fight, but they treat it as if it's just like a real life fight.
Yeah.
Like you're in someone's mind, turn into something crazy, like change
Doctor
the
Strange.
environment, like, you know, get trippy.
Yeah, like appear inside them and make them disappear, but then
Yeah.
they reform. Like there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
If you can truly control everything with your mind, like pick someone up, throw them across, why don't you just squish their brain? It's the little brain.
Exactly. So like
gone.
I mean, they probably weren't even thinking about this, but like it's the Star Wars mind in me is like, oh, well, they're protecting themselves with their own powers, you know? Because like Jedi, when they're like, they can't just force push each other willy nilly because they can protect from other people's
Yeah,
force
use the
pushes and
Force.
stuff. Anyways, but
I agree. I think like you can explain it away, but I agree with you that you don't get the sense that they really thought out how cool the powers could be.
yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad because in the testing facility, they show that, right? When they're in the 2 circles and they have to push each other out of the circle.
Yeah.
They show that you can kind of prevent being hit,
Right.
but it's just not cool.
Yeah,
It
actually-
doesn't matter if it's been explained, it's just not cool.
That's actually a great point. I think that's why I thought that because they do actually show that. So that's a point in their favor. But I feel like one thing that's frustrating with the show continually is just like, what are the powers?
Yeah, it feels
Like, we know
it feels like when you're playing a 2-player game and one of the whole purpose of the other person is just to push another block so you can stand on top. It's just like kind of meaningless.
Yeah. But like, what are they able to do? We know it's telekinesis.
Yeah.
We know it's sort of telepathy,
Yeah.
but she used to only be able to go through like walkie-talkies and stuff. Like she could hijack like radio signals and like do it that way. But now it's like she heals Max at the
Yeah,
end.
she brings back to life. She can piggyback, whatever that is.
She
I
can
was like,
disintegrate people and create portals. Where meanwhile Vecna has obviously figured out how to like
control an entire
mutate himself and
control
like
an entire species.
Yeah, merge with something.
Yeah, it's pretty unclear.
It's very.
I'm glad they didn't go that route because I think at one point they were considering doing the X-Men route where they had like a bunch of the numbers. Like there's that episode at season 2, I guess, where she goes and visits
with number 8.
Yeah, like what a crap episode, and I'm glad they never moved that direction. But I also think that they almost threw out the baby with the bathwater with the potential of having a bunch of different superpowers they can explore.
It's just too bad because I liked the reveal of that guy being one.
Yeah.
Right.
Vecna Henry, you say?
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, he gets sent to the other dimension and all of a sudden is a different being, and I didn't get it anymore. Well, it just didn't.
He got Emperor Palpatine.
Well, yeah, exactly. We talked about it, I think, on a now playing where it's like, I'm so sick of giving you like the physical origins of a villain.
Yeah, we don't need to see that he was like mutilated by the lightning or whatever.
It just opens
like,
up more questions.
Although maybe it's trying to say that like the forces, the interdimensional forces, kind of gave him some more powers so that he was able to do that or something. I don't know.
Lost to a child, so clearly didn't do that much.
What did you think about the whole upside down? Like this was so she didn't create the upside down. She just opened a portal to it, right? She opened a door to it. So,
clearly, it already existed because there were Demogorgons and stuff there.
Yeah. So then, are there more places like this? Is it just one? And it makes me think like I don't want to worry too much about like in Harry Potter, magic just exists and it makes sense. But
there's the sideways.
There's also a downside up. If you go up too high, it's like whoa.
I hope that they don't do that. I don't want to be like a whole.
Yeah.
There's a different dimension for every direction, or for every orientation.
For every
you
board
can flip
game,
it.
there's Monopoly.
Yeah. I like
the simplicity of it, and I like the mirror image. I think it works when you're in the upside down, and it's like these places you recognize, but like dark versions of them.
Yeah, but that was such a cool reveal, and then they never really did anything with it. Where we figure out that the upside down, as we know it, like the upside down Hawkins was like created on the day that El sent him into the portal.
No, that Will.
Or that
Will was gone.
Yeah, because it's pretty modern, but it's like a few years off.
Because she's like, oh, my last diary entry was the day that Will disappeared.
Right. Yeah. And why did Will disappear?
He was just in the woods. But
he was just taken.
He was just taken in the woods. But there is a clock that chimes when he gets away.
So it's like, is time really slow?
Wait, there's a clock that what, sorry?
That when he's taken, there's a clock, like the Vecna clock.
In season 1?
Yeah.
Did you go, where'd you see this?
I saw that on TikTok.
Oh.
So someone told me about it and then sent me the clip, and I was like, oh, that's actually cool.
So they were planning this.
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe they just were like, oh, we'll use that clock sound that we used.
I think it's possible. But
I think so, because I forgot it was Will's birthday. The first episode, they're like, it's March 23rd, which is like canonically Will's birthday. And the Duffer Brothers are like, we just forgot.
I like
like, no wonder nobody acknowledges it's Will's birthday. They just happen to choose his birthday.
See, that would have been cool if it was intentional, because I do like how at the end they kind of bring Will back into it and they're like, I can feel him. And they're like, okay, cool. It would be, because sometimes the show is annoying because it's basically like, it's a bunch of just normal people. And then psychic superpower
who does
person
literally everything.
Who just comes and saves the day.
Well, I always figure that Will would grow into having some kind of power, and it still feels like they're foreshadowing it. But I'm like, there's not enough time left. Like you should have had
Stop foreshadowing.
Yeah, like at season 3, he should have like had a moment where he got to push back, and then now he's like discovering it. And maybe it's like dark powers or something.
Yeah.
But now it's that
he's
season
the
5.
Shaft. He's not like in any episodes of any season. He's just like there,
Will,
and trying to cry. Yeah,
okay.
Like
I think he's acting.
He's in like 5.
You don't like his acting? I thought he was pretty good.
Fine. I just want him to say more than just, dude, she loves you, bro. And she loves you, and I love you,
and I love you. Dang it! This guy's in the car with the window, and there's talking, and then he turns around to cry. I mean,
and his awful haircut.
Have you seen
the haircut doesn't know favors.
His haircut's not great.
I do like that scene. The moment I like the most in that scene is when Jonathan he looks in the rearview mirror, he sees it, and that's the moment he's cluing in on like the dynamic.
I did like that a lot.
And I was like, that's a good
where he's like, hey,
yeah. The brother moment, I really like
that. Was good. I was so glad.
Stuff.
Like actually, I think like maybe an hour before that, because I don't know how long that episode was or whatever. Some point before that, I was kind of like, oh, it's kind of weird that they haven't had a scene with like Will and Jonathan, because they were such a core part of season 1, like their relationship, and Jonathan being like, he's my brother, I gotta save him, and they're like him being driven by that. And in this one, it's like he's just off being a stoner dude.
I feel like they just don't know what to do with Jonathan. Like I almost feel like they should have killed him.
Just get him out of there. It's been a weird. It must have been. It's because how long was it? was like 183 days since I moved away, 11 said, or whatever it was. But it feels like it's been years because Jonathan didn't do any photography.
Yeah.
For some reason, all of a sudden he wasn't like in love with Nancy and the
Yeah,
drugs.
there was definitely
I was
some-
like, what happened to this character?
Some confusing character stuff going on this season.
Well, it's like I feel like even Steve, like they don't really know what to do with that story anymore. Like Nancy does like some cool stuff, but what's her character growth really?
See,
She's a badass.
I
Yeah.
liked kind of seeing Nancy as sort of like she's grown into the capable leader.
That's
like,
fair.
Like she's leading the newspaper.
That's fair.
She kind of takes a leadership role in the group settings later as well, where she's like, okay, guys, here's what we're doing. And Steve's there as kind of like, I don't know, the action hero guy or whatever. But I love that his arc has gone from, I mean, he went through it early.
Yeah. By season 2, he's a good guy.
Yeah. He went through that redemption arc, but then he's kind of been lost and he's like, who am I? In the beginning of this season, him and Robin are both kind of like he's trying to like date around and be like cool Steve Harrington again, but he's like he realizes that I don't want to just be like cool guy like getting the girls. I want to like settle down, and who do I really want to settle down with? Nancy. And I like that they brought that romance back. It kind of seems weird because it's like they set up that her and Jonathan are kind of like iffy. We don't know what's going on with that, so then it doesn't feel too bad that he's trying to like Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and then at the very end, she's like, "No, we're fine." And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, they're leaving it this weird vagueness for season 5
Yeah.
of like no, we're fine. But what did you think about Robin in this season? Because I felt like she was quite different from season 3, but it might just be because she got so much more airtime, and I feel like they were leaning into like the Robin is the relatable one that people are gonna like
Right.
a lot, and I kind of didn't like that quirkiness after a while. I was like, okay.
you're like, I see that you're trying to make me like this quirky character.
Yes,
And I won't do it.
It worked in season 3, and this
Oh,
one
yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm tired.
She was probably my favorite character in season 3, and I wouldn't say she was my favorite in this season. I don't like hate her, but I don't think they give her enough to do with this amount of screen time she has. Like the big thing is like she likes this girl, but the girl's in a straight relationship, and then at the end she gets her like nice moment, and I like the nice moment, but it doesn't really feel. Again, she doesn't feel like they had a big arc for her, but she's on screen so much.
Was the girl dating that basketball player that got ripped in half?
No, I think it was just a random dude because
No, I think it was
Chrissy,
just some- yeah.
the one who got like mangled at the
Oh,
start,
right,
was
right,
dating
right.
Jason, who got ripped in half, and I feel like that's a crime. But
Yeah.
I loved that moment though, and I love that it's so like throwaway.
they should have
happened?
used him
when
to,
Jason, so Lucas and Jason fight, and he gets kind of dispatched. And he's on the ground, and then Vecna opens the portal or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
on the portal line. He just
Yeah,
gets
he
ripped
gets like
apart.
dissolved. Yeah.
I like that.
They
I
should
saw
have used him to like go and fight for Eddie because he's witnessed that it's clearly not Eddie. So
Yeah.
if he survives, because like his negative trait is that he was super in love with Chrissy and wanted to take vengeance against it, which is not right, but understandable. And I was like, if he kept him alive because he witnessed this stuff happen to Patrick, and how scared Eddie was that it's not Eddie, and seeing this stuff with Vecna and everything, that he could have been someone to be like, I know it's not Eddie, and kind of like flip the script. As a
Yeah.
redemption
I
for
agree.
Eddie.
I think that the show has already kind of done the character flip into a good guy thing a few times.
Yeah, like Steve.
And I like it, and it
then
always feels
Billy.
really good when it happens. But the show already has a problem of like doing the same thing again and again and again.
Yeah.
But I
feel like-
when as soon as you said, I'm like, yeah, I wish they did that.
I think that Jason was beyond. I love a good redemption arc, but I think that Jason kind of like played his cards early, where he's like, I am the all-American hero, and I'm in denial that my girlfriend was having issues because I'm just an asshole, and I'm like falsely self-righteous about this whole thing going on. And so I'm like, no, he needs to get his just desserts, because it's like he made so many missteps, and it wasn't even like, it's relatable. It's like, no, you're just an asshole who thinks that you
Maybe you just need
deserve
more
the
villain
world.
time. I maybe need to see him be more of that jerk outside of the trauma. If I'd seen him be a jerk before, like after doing that speech, being like,
Yeah.
get a load of that crap, I'd be like, oh, he's just
I
a
think
bad
there was a
person.
version of the season they could have written him to be a much more interesting character, and that season would have included much less time in Russia.
Yeah,
But I loved Russia.
What?
I want more Russia.
Yeah.
No!
Russia was
Hell,
badass.
you are so confusing, bro.
What?
No,
I thought
who are
everyone
you?
was going to agree
I
that
hated
Russia's
it.
the best part of the show.
No,
I could have gone with the whole show just for Hopper.
Yeah.
It was
What?
I feel like it had a
awesome.
lot to it, and I enjoyed it a lot.
See,
Me too.
That is,
They did go back and
honestly,
forth, though.
I don't know how your brain works.
Yeah.
He's like, I escaped. I'm back in prison. I escaped. Let's go back to prison. I escaped again.
Yeah.
But I was like, do it again. One more time. What'd you forget?
He's just
I
so
feel
hard
like-
and cool.
Yeah, he is.
I like-
Yeah, and that's the role he plays in the show. But I feel like that's what was sort of missing from this one, where Hopper exists as a really cool foil to the other characters in the show who are weaker, right? Like the kids in the earlier season, the kids are like vastly outmatched. They have no idea what's going on. They're just trying their best. They're grabbing random bats and trying to fight off things, and they're failing. And Hopper shows up and he's like, I am the capable, burly man. I'm going to go in and like be a hero. And I'm going to like, I have drinking problems and I have trauma and I'm like not perfect in any way. But it's nice seeing him. It was so cool seeing him in season 1, especially like go through this arc of being this like drunk failure to being like, I have a purpose now. I'm going to protect people. I'm going to adopt 11. I'm going to, and he's a mess. But in this one, it's just like, we don't really get to see that so much because it's just like, it's like he died a hero's death, and now he's just kind of like, oh, I'm trapped here. I'm trying to escape. But there wasn't really like a broader purpose there. And then later they're like, okay, no, we have to go back in because there's a broader purpose of us trying to help the kids. But it felt very unnecessary.
Well, and I feel like I was surprised that they made it explicit that he was alive right from the beginning. Because I was like,
right away.
Yeah, because at the end of last season, he sacrifices himself and dies. And then there's like a hint of like, oh, maybe he's
even
alive.
at the end of the last season, they couldn't let you believe he was dead.
Yeah, I know. And
because they're like, oh, bring the American or whatever.
Which was dumb.
Yeah.
But then, immediately, it's just like, he's just a character.
He
and
just like
he's
wakes up on the floor. He's like, my knee. And then climbs the ladder and gets caught.
Yeah.
I was like, we had to show him get on the ladder and get caught, which is what I feel like my biggest problem with this is just cut it out.
Yeah.
Just have him be in the prison. Why do we have to watch him climb the ladder and have this happen? So much of it, I'm like, this story building just makes it so it's 2 hours an episode instead of just being a story being told.
The length never
long.
really bothered me. I don't know. I never really felt like it was dragging. I was just kind of like, sweet, more Stranger Things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I sound like a horrible fan there, but like a fanboy.
No, that's fair.
But I just feel like the Duffer Brothers have and the people involved in this, because they wrote and directed most of the episodes, but there were also some other people involved. They just have this gift of making sort of maybe otherwise boring scenes and events into like interesting bits. The music is there; it's so strong.
music's so good this season.
The editing is great. The camera movements, like they have this wonderful way of like having these mundane actions, like putting something down on a bed or like sliding something over or opening something up. They have these like they do these like whip pans and like whoosh, whoosh, like zoom ins and like I just like just watching them direct and edit a pretty normal scene. I'm entertained.
I agree with both of you. I think that it's a TV show, so it exists to keep you watching, not to tell its story as efficiently as possible. But I do agree that the show has a captivating quality where I just enjoy watching it. I just enjoy spending the time with the characters.
Yeah.
But not in Russia. Okay, so my big problem isn't Hopper. It's the Joyce Murray shit.
Really?
It's like a cartoon.
Dude, it's so
I
good.
love Murray.
I loved Murray. I did not like Murray before
He's
this
so
season,
good.
and this one I'm like, yes. It like clicked in for me. The kung fu fighting where he's like, I have a black belt. You know what? I beat Jeremiah, and he has experience, and Yuri probably has never been in a competition. Thanks, Joyce. And then like kicks his ass. I was like, this
That
is
was
great.
such a good moment.
And he's so fun.
They set it up. He says something about black belt earlier in the previous episode or that episode or something, and then he gets to use his skills not just on little kids. Like he takes out the like Yuri. Oh, it's so good.
It's funny, but it felt too cartoony for me, especially with the rest of the tone of the show. It's nice to have like the comedic relief, but I think the show does a good job not being realistic, but being believable. And to me, that was like the one storyline, like these fucking random people breaking into a Russian prison.
That's
like,
true.
Okay, come
Yeah.
on.
And
Like,
I think
this
that-
is a little silly.
it sounded like you
I was
were-
just gonna say I feel like it needs that comic-y feel because of how intense the rest of the Russian prison stuff was.
Sure.
And then he's just like squeezing his feet out of handcuffs, and the next scene they're like eating peanut butter.
So how did he run with his like broken ankles?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He was just totally fine.
Well, it's the
I was
snow,
like,
so it's like every step it's freezing again.
Yeah, it's
fine.
totally fine.
I mean, he was definitely limping after that, but he ran. What does he run to the snowmobile or something?
Yeah, and then the rest of the prison and escaping and like that's only within a couple days.
he gets the
span.
snowmobile.
Yeah, but what about the rest of the escape and like the Demogorgons and everything?
Fight or flight does something wondrous to the body. Revenge does wonders for
okay.
the will to live.
So you
Yeah.
can run away with
Fair.
a broken foot. But what about when they were taking their shirts off and they had took the bandage off his arm
yeah, it was
and
hot
he has
and steamy.
deep gouges in his arm?
Yeah.
And then he turns around just to kiss someone. What's with that?
That was not scripted. That's why. They always say that was not scripted.
He
That's why.
assaulted
It
her
makes
and
sense.
he was imprisoned after.
God. I do like the guard character. I think that's a fun
Oh yeah.
character. I can't remember the actor's
Enzo.
name, but from Game of Thrones, I recognize
Oh, he's in
him.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's the man with no faces guy.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
I think
Jakar or
he's super charismatic. Same with Yuri.
Yuri.
I enjoy him on screen, but I felt like his arc was a little
His
heavy-handed.
slimy smile.
Yeah, but I like it because he's so charming,
So
and you're like,
good.
oh, maybe he's not
Murray
so bad.
being Yuri was so funny too. He was just like totally dialing up that like craziness of Yuri.
I love Murray. He's so funny.
I agree.
I just
like them.
Just like his like he'll just scream as like, "Do you like that, you Russian swine?" Like I don't know, just like I just love how he's so over the top and like especially contrasted with Joyce, who's kind of more of like a meek, kind of like quiet person. Winona
Little
Ryder.
bird.
What's that?
Little bird.
Yeah,
she keeps
little
getting
bird.
called.
Yeah. And then Murray is just this loud, obnoxious thing. So I liked their character dynamic, but I think I agree with David where large parts of the Russian plotline it felt like filler, but it also felt like I like that cheesiness. I like that the show manages to, and I think that's why the intense horror stuff was so shocking in the beginning, because I think we're used to the beginning of these Stranger Things seasons being more lighthearted and being more kind of like, hey, something's kind of maybe growing weird in the background there. There's some sort of alien thing going on. But I don't know. For the most part, we're just kind of having more human stakes and drama and funny moments. And so, like, it was shocking. And so I think having that, like, that vibe, that cheesy vibe early on works with the show really well. But, yeah,
it's hard when you have so many stories that you're trying to balance, and like they want to have progression in all of them, so they're cutting in between all of them. So you have to have all these beats that are happening in the Russian storyline to keep advancing it, so you can keep cutting away from the other ones.
Yeah.
But I think that a third of those beats didn't matter, and the show would have been better if they started it later in the show. I think, to me, you just reveal that Hopper's alive later in the show, and they're rescuing him, and that starts later, and you can compress that whole thing into 2/3 of what it currently is.
I think at the end when they were like, oh, we can't make it back to the town, so we have to stay here and kill the dust bunny thing. And then I was like, okay, so they're going to flamethrower it. Easy done. It's fixed. But then it went into the Demogorgon things, right?
Yeah, that was confusing.
And then he just used a knife to slice it off. And while everything
Wait,
was
what?
cutting...
The sword?
Well, yeah. Remember he
the
picked
sword
up...
was
Not a
badass.
knife, Ethan.
Okay.
It's a
so
pretty
a
cool
big knife.
sword.
It was a
I
really
was
cool
actually, when he
sword.
picked that up, I was like, where the hell did that sword
I was like,
come from?
hell yeah.
But it was one of the weapons they got to
Yeah.
fight the Demogorgon.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was just
Cabinet.
felt like a bit lame. Like they were cutting between all these epic moments, and I think that was near when like Eddie died. No, that was before, but
Or
yeah,
after. Or I don't know.
it
Yeah.
just felt like
Yeah, because we had the kind of like the three conflicts going on. It was like 11 versus Max, Lucas versus Jason, and then Hopper
Versus Demogorgon.
and those guys versus the Demogorgon. And yeah, I think I agree with you that the Demogorgon fight kind of felt superfluous. It was kind of like, I'm sure this is like maybe helping a little bit, where it's like, we're going to kill this Demogorgon and that's going to weaken Vecna.
I think they
somehow?
show like a cut of like Vecna taking a little step back.
Maybe it's just like mass
Yeah, but
distraction.
it seemed like the main thing was
Yeah,
that
it's that,
11 weakened him,
Yeah.
and that allowed the other teams to succeed.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess I'm confused how the Demogorgon is like bullets do absolutely nothing, but then you can slice his arm off with a sword.
and then it's gone.
And I was like, okay, maybe he was weakened by the fire. That was a whole. Maybe that's more of a nitpick, but
Yeah, well, that's fine.
let's talk about
The music.
some of the. Well, obviously Kate Bush and Running Up That Hill was like
There's
great.
only like 4 licensed songs that I remember.
Yeah.
Which I actually really enjoyed. There's the one in the roller rink, Spin Me Right Round, Dream a Little Dream of Me,
Yeah.
Running Up That Hill.
Yep. There's a
And
lot.
Metallica.
I looked
I was
at
like,
the
oh.
soundtrack. Like every episode is about like 5 to 10 licensed songs.
Really? I didn't even know.
And I think they did a really good job keeping it kind of behind the mix and doing that. There's some really good ones. The remix of Separate Ways, the friggin' Journey song,
Yeah.
was awesome.
At the end
it
of
was so sick.
At the end of episode 8.
Yeah, when they're walking to the house.
Yeah, they're like rolling up, and it's like, here we stand.
Yeah.
World's our party.
That's so fire. So I really think that they did a really good job. The soundtrack's always been good, but you can just see the budget in that season, I think. And like those songs aren't cheap.
Yeah. They add so much.
But then they really do a good job integrating them into the score, which is already really cool 80s synth stuff. And it all feels really organic.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's why I didn't notice. It's because it was just used well and like blended in.
Yeah, because it could be so overbearing where every episode there's someone has a boombox, and they're like, Michael Jackson's sick. But no, it's seamless and just like it's there, but it's subtle. The fact that there's like the first episode has 10 licensed songs, I had no idea. It's just there.
Right.
It's just there.
Yeah.
Shout out to your music editor.
Good job. I want to talk about 11 because she goes through an interesting sort of journey in this one. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have all the whole like repressed memories that she's reliving from the Hawkins lab and all that. But before that, I thought it was an interesting situation with her feeling powerless and useless because she didn't have her powers and being bullied relentlessly.
The bullying was wild.
I know.
I'm like, is this
show,
at all necessary?
But I feel like this is something that 80s inspired and like movies from the 80s do as well, where it's like
it was an awful time to live.
The bullies are just like
So
psychopaths.
vicious,
Like they're crazy.
Okay, but her trying to use her powers in front of the crowd was so funny. I was like dying.
She's like, ah!
And they're like, what the hell? But yeah, the bullying was crazy. And that's where I was like, it's getting to like the CW teen drama vibe where I'm like, all right, like cool it.
Yeah.
This is not doing anything.
But at the same time, like I see stuff like that in TV shows and I'm like, kids aren't like that. But then I hear stories about like bullying that goes on in schools and stuff, especially in the States. And I'm like, kids are fucking like evil sometimes.
And they deserve to get hit in the face with a skate.
Well, in that moment, I think was like, it made it all worth it because you're like, I was shocked.
Me too.
I was like,
waiting for it to be like
fucking
a dream or daytime.
Yeah. But I think that they deal with the consequences of that a little too lightly. It's like she goes home and then like the police show up, but it's like not really the police. It's the people coming to take her away or whatever. And it's like there is no real consequence.
Well, no, wait. She gets arrested by the regular police.
And then she gets taken.
And she's
Which actually
and
like
they're
that
like,
as the
you're
reason
going
that
to
they
juvie.
found her. It's because all of a sudden her name's on the
okay.
record.
Yeah.
Because they were looking for Jane Hopper.
Right.
And then it was like,
I see.
Yeah.
but
And
I
then
love
she
the
gets picked
conversation about like, oh, it's rubber. Like it's fine. Probably, well, maybe it's plastic. They don't make them out of metal, do they? That skate could really mess someone
That
up.
was
I was
so
like,
great.
okay, Argyle, that's pretty
I love
funny.
Argyle and Jonathan like high at the table trying to hide it.
Yeah.
They're just like, yeah, man, I don't know if it's a plastic or
Dude,
whatever.
the skate attack. What? There was a skate attack? And she's like, what's wrong with you? He's like, oh.
I just love how he was kind of over the top, Argyle, but at the same time, it felt like a real character. Like it was over the top, but over top in the way that a surfer stoner dude would be. Like it wasn't like, oh, I believe that he was a real guy, you know?
And I don't think they overuse him. Like,
Yes.
he's not constantly making stoner jokes. He's in the background and he comes out once in a while.
And he also like participates in the adventure, you know? He'll be like, guys, look at these tracks, you know? Like these are fatties. You know what that means? Military? Yeah, so good.
His big moment with we need 600 pounds. He's like, I know where I can find 600 pounds of salt.
Yeah, he's like measuring her. He's
Yeah.
like, okay.
But to go back to Elle, she has this whole arc where she feels powerless or whatever, and then she goes and like learns and stuff. How did you guys feel about Papa coming back?
Bad.
What?
Papabrenner.
He gets attacked by a Demogorgon or Demodog and he's fine with just one scar in his face. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Show me in a flashback, and they never do.
He knows a really
okay.
good plastic surgeon.
How did he not die?
What do you mean?
Yeah, he's implied death. He's got a
That
pretty
was the
clear
first season, wasn't it?
The last episode
Was
of the first
it?
season, he gets killed.
Oh, wait. We haven't seen him since the end of season 1.
Yes.
Correct. Because he dies.
And they replace him with the other guy, the other doctor, who's kind of like the nicer doctor.
I think he
Owens.
just like we see the Demogorgon go off and attack him, but we don't see what happens to him.
fully like it shows his face and a Demodog coming like and hitting him.
No,
like,
there's not a demo dog. That's a season 2.
Whatever.
Demogorgon.
Some
Demogorgon, sure. Whatever was on
flower-faced
all four
motherfucker.
legs running at him.
Yeah, but I can understand. Like, I mean, I'm kind of glad that they didn't show it. Like, they didn't feel a need to be like, here's how he survived. Because I think stuff like that, where it's like we just see him go off screen and he's fighting the Demogorgon, but that's not necessarily guaranteed that someone's going to die. But a lot of people have survived Demogorgon attacks.
I hear what you're saying. To me, it felt like it was pretty conclusive that he was dead.
Really?
And it felt cheap that they're like, actually, we just kind of want to like bring back a character and have it be a big moment for Elle.
I always thought that there was I don't know. I always thought that there was a potential that he would return.
I liked the flashbacks with Elle. I think that they were really cool, and I had although it was a bit distracting how they keep cutting between like adult age Elle and kid Elle.
The de-aged.
It was also
the
de-aged Elle. I think the de-aging was pretty good, but it was also powerful when she would do something really vicious or powerful, and then it would show you kid Elle, and you're like, oh wow, she did that when she was 10.
Yeah.
And it was a good
The only thing I wish is that
was
they're
shocking.
really inconsistent with how much 11 can speak. Because like in these flashbacks, you think she'd not be speaking at all because she like didn't speak English. But she's like, tell me more, sir, about your story and how I can do. And I was like, what are you talking
so
What?
I think.
And where's your accent that was in the first episode? It was really strong.
So I didn't really think about this until just now because I was asking myself while the season was going on. I was like, how can she talk so well? Because when we saw her in season 1, she was like, what is friend, Mike? Like,
Ego.
me hungry.
Ego.
Yeah. Ego.
That's a pretty minor nitpick, but I did like it.
But I think it's kind of addressed by this because they say that she like lost her memory when she sent one into the upside down.
Yeah,
so I'm like, okay, so it makes sense that before that whole thing, she can talk okay, but then that's so traumatic that she kind of like loses the ability to talk. And so like they're retconning that a little bit, and that's why. Because in season 1, I just thought that she couldn't talk because
she hadn't been talking.
She was just locked up and she wasn't socialized correctly, and so she just can't.
No, that
doesn't
makes
have good
sense.
language.
Because the other kids speak fine, so
Yeah.
that does check out.
Again, more bullying, hey?
Yeah, so
From
much
the other
bullying.
kid, yeah. I mean,
80s, truly awful times.
at least I
Truly
can
awful
understand how
times.
people locked in a lab, superpowered kids locked in a lab, are
Pitted
like
against each other
Yeah,
for
like are kind of
reward.
psychopathic because they're getting kind of a weird development there. But man, the rollerblade thing was just like so shocking to me because I'm like, everyone's in on it. The whole
that
fucking
one
rink.
shot where it's
Yeah.
the light just on her and everyone's circling
Yeah,
around
everyone's
her.
like, ha 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 ha. I was like,
Even the DJ's like, oh, okay, buddy.
Well, the DJ's the friend of the bully girl, right? So he's like taking the booze. Sketchy.
I was just like,
Don't be friends with high schoolers if you're 30 and work at a roller rink.
like these people, like how are there this many like inhumane humans? We're just like, this is okay that we're all laughing at her. She deserves it because she did the hand thing. I'm like, what? But the confrontation with Brenner. This is what I'm trying to get to, where like Papa comes and he's like, "You're not ready to go," and she's like, "Yeah, I am." And there's that whole thing about like who's the monster, and she's like, "I realized I'm not the monster. You're the monster." And she finally fights back against him, and it's this like, this abusive relationship thing that they've alluded to multiple times in the previous seasons, and I liked seeing that sort of climax to that story where it's obvious that he does care about her, right? Like I think that was just like super interesting to see from his perspective. He does think he's doing the right thing. He's not evil.
Papa, yeah.
Yeah. And so I loved how they lay that out again. Like it's not like he's trying to, make an army of superpowered things so he can have power or whatever. It's not about that. It's that he is actually trying to foster something good for 11, but he just doesn't know what love is. It's the same Thanos thing, right?
Yeah, it definitely is because he's weird. Because like even Owens is like, I let you do your weird daddy-daughter thing here, blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
for the good of whatever. I was like, oh, okay, so people understand that he's trying to do something good. He's just a weird dude.
I like how Sam Owens is there as like a contrast to him, to be like, actually, you can be one of these weird government guys and be sort of a normal person.
Yeah.
Dr. Brenner's just a weirdo.
Yeah, he is very normal.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
And I loved they're like, after when he gets shot, Dr. Brenner gets shot and he's lying on the ground and he's like asking her to ease his passing, by telling her that she understands.
Yeah.
And she's
doesn't.
like,
That's another good moment of like people who have suffered abuse being like I'm not forgiving you. And I think that's a good message because we get so much of that of like, no matter what, like in the end, you want to forgive. But it's like, no, you
I
don't.
also like how he's like dying after being shot by a sniper many times. He's like, and like takes the necklace off her. 'Cause I was like, that was really delayed. Just like waits a whole long time, then pushes the button, gives a wink, and then dies. And
well, I think that was important to show that, like that I love things like that make relationships more complicated instead of less, because it's like, it's so easy just to be like, and in the end, he was a bad guy. And so they beat him up, instead of being like, actually, no, things aren't that easy. Things are complicated, you know, like whatever simple narrative you have that you're interpreting the world through, things are more complicated. People are complicated. And so it's like having him be this like antagonist / support character. And then we think that he's still being a bad guy and preventing her from doing what she wants to do. But then he gets shot and he realizes, no, but the only I don't think she's ready. But what I think isn't important anymore. She's on her own. I'm going to let her loose, you know, because I do care about her and I want her to succeed, even if the way that he's doing that is absolutely the wrong thing. You know, It makes me think of Infinity War and Thanos, where he's crying because, and we, the audience, realizes that, spoilers for Infinity War. Okay. If you've had a while. We as the audience realize that he does believe at least that he loves Gamora.
Yeah.
You know, even though he's about to sacrifice her. And she's like, she sees him crying and she's disgusted because like, you love me? Like you think that you love me? This is not love. You idiot.
Yeah.
You know? It was a parallel to this situation.
Yep.
And also hit pick in that scene where she takes down the freaking helicopter.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
Hit picks, are we into
Nitpicks.
picks?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I didn't take notes for the first 7
Yeah,
episodes.
because we didn't think we were going to do this.
Yeah.
Because James doesn't care about this show.
No.
You and I care about the show.
Thank goodness he's gone.
Can I start with- I have a nitpick.
Okay.
So the teacher, the like counselor, she's just like, they're having this discussion with Max and whatever like that. And I can't remember what the argument is about, but it gets kind of heated. And Max is like, can I use your bathroom? And she's like, okay. And then just like perfectly turns to her desk and doesn't notice Max just like walking around her house and like grabbing her keys and then going to the bathroom. She's just sitting there like, huh, oh, that's really interesting. I'm like, if you have this girl who's like arguing with you and then you just like let her loose in her house and just like don't pay attention to the fact you didn't hear the bathroom door close or anything.
Yeah.
And then she gets her keys stolen and that's it. So I was like, all right. That was weird.
I feel like this show is really great at doing that, where it's just like things are just perfectly set up so they can sneak by or whatever.
And would take notes randomly. I'm like, what is happening
Yeah,
here?
the show has a lot of my suspension of disbelief. Where
Yeah.
I think if I thought about it too hard, I'd be like,
Yeah.
huge hit pick when Nancy, Robin, and Steve blow Vecna up. It was so fucking awesome.
See, okay, yeah.
I just like, they light him on fire. He comes down. She just like walks up with a shotgun. Buddy,
Yeah.
love it.
It was really good, and I thought it was emotionally powerful as well, but I was consciously trying to maintain my suspension of disbelief there,
too.
because I was like, he doesn't seem like he's in that much pain, you know?
He's like kind of walking towards them.
Yeah.
He just kind of like falls out the window and they don't check on him. There's like, let's go.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Like, I thought the fire was going to do something, because it obviously breaks off his connection, and he's like, suffering, but then he stands up and he's just kind of like,
Yeah, they all just kind
I'm
of wait.
actually fine.
Because he stopped, dropped, and rolled out the window. He's good.
Yeah, he's good. My 2 nitpicks on the scene are the fact that they light the second Molotov cocktail. It doesn't matter. He's on fire. Just throw it at him. It'll catch fire.
Oh, that's true.
But then
thought
also
it was
that they
cool.
don't double tap. They should have jumped out the window and like shotgun him right in the
Yeah.
fucking face.
I
I mean,
100%
to be
would've.
fair,
Yeah.
that would involve them shooting him out the window and then being like, okay, let's run downstairs, blah, 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 and make sure they...
I mean,
like,
against
okay.
the ultimate evil that you've ever experienced,
Yeah.
I think you would. You'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's just blow his head right off.
Yeah, let's fucking. We're done.
That to me, it's like that scene is just like so indicative of what is like good and bad about Stranger Things.
Sure.
And it's like, it keeps me coming back because it's like, it is, the Duffer Brothers are so good at making these emotional moments where I like will suspend my disbelief because the music is there, the editing is there, the direction is there. I'm like happy for these characters that they're coming to the end of their arcs, and it's powerful. But at the same time, I'm like, but why doesn't he like force push them back? He's on fire, but he's just standing there. And he's just kind of like walking towards them slowly. It doesn't seem like he's really suffering. He's just kind of like,
Well, and, like,
you're in my house. I'm going to get you
When
slowly.
you get really nerdy about it, it's like, oh, he can force push the oxygen away, immediately extinguish the fire, and
Right.
then like
He
go
could do
after
any
them.
of these things.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of cool stuff you can do.
And like Nancy taking her fucking time.
Yeah, what's
She's
slow
like,
mo?
I'm just going to come up. And what?
It's in slow-mo.
It is slow-mo.
No, it's
so that's
Robin
something.
taking forever with the second Molotov.
Yeah.
She just like waits there with it.
They're just standing. Everyone's standing around waiting for, is it my turn?
Okay.
This is a turn-based
It's
RPG?
because they're intercutting with a bunch of stuff, and so they need like beats to have a thing to intercut to and come back
Yeah.
to. So it's the strength and a weakness because I think the intercutting really heightens the excitement.
There was one like intercut thing that happened when they had showed everyone doing their whole thing. I think this is when they're getting defeated, and it showed
They're getting tentacled.
Yeah, and then Eddie, or what's that? So many freaking Gaten. What's it?
Dustin.
Dustin.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So Dustin goes up to Eddie, and it seems like he only walked 50 meters, but it took like 3 minutes of the show to get back to that point.
Yeah, he biked a long way away to be like within eyesight of the trailer when he walks out. I was like, okay.
Yeah, the timing is kind of confusing sometimes about like what's
they were being
happening at
strangled
what
on
point.
the wall for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're dead.
And like Vecna, we've seen Vecna go up to people and just like kill them in like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And then somehow he's going after Max now finally. And it's taken like 3, 4,
Mike
5
is like,
minutes.
I love you. Nitpick, though. Power of love saves the day. But I love you, 11. I'm sorry, I never say it. I love you so much.
Oh, that was
he's just
great.
but he's just waiting there to kill Max until
Yeah,
he's like done
exactly.
his speech. He's
Exactly.
Like, and
The problem
tentacles
isn't-
slowly let go.
Well, it's because he needed, like you said, turn-based combat. He needed his ATB to go all the way up. He's like waiting.
But when it broke, when like he broke her legs and stuff, I was actually
That was
surprised.
awesome.
Oh, shit.
I
Yeah.
didn't see it coming.
I was like,
No,
oh,
me neither.
what? They're going to kill her? No.
Well, that's what I think. Like that's this what I was saying, where like they've trained us like dogs to be like, oh, once they're floating, that's it, they're dead.
Yeah.
and they do kill her because it's enough that they open the portal. But now she's in this limbo where she's kind of like the final thing that's holding the gate closed.
Yeah, the empty head where she like just goes in, there's nothing. She's like, whoa.
And so she's in this weird in-between zone, and she's not dead. If she was dead, they would have just fucking killed her.
Wait, I don't think she's holding. You mean the fact that she's alive is holding the gates closed?
I think that's why, like, you see the portal, like the final portal is opening, and that should be the end of the world. But it reaches a thing, and then it kind of, like, 11 saves her, and then it stops.
So this is what I'm confused about. This is actually one of my nitpicks, because I'm like, okay, so Vecna is the Mind Flayer, is whatever.
I don't think he is the Mind Flayer. He has like the power of the Mind Flayer because he sees the Mind Flayer.
No, I think he is the Mind. It's been him. That's what they say. Like,
I thought he created the giant shadow beast and everything. That's
He
what
created the
talking
giant
about.
shadow beast in that shot where he walks up
floating
to
around.
it.
yeah, he shows up in the Upside Down, and there's all the particles there.
Yeah.
But I don't think the particles are
Sentient?
the Mind Flayer. I think he controls them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's
he
like one of
assembled into
his.
that big
It's part of the
shadow
hive,
monster.
you know, like
Okay.
the Demogorgons. That he can control them, but they're not like they are separate entities, I guess. But he like they're part of him now.
I thought it was like I'm wrong, I guess. But I thought he like took power from it, and so it's like it's like a source of power, but it's a separate thing from him.
I think it was more that he was like he found this resource and
Okay.
he shaped it to his will.
His mom. Hey, Will.
Will.
His haircut.
Wait, why are we talking about that though?
I say hit pick. I think Vecna is the most interesting villain they've had in the show. Easy. Well, he's the only sentient villain they've had in the show. They've had cool like horror takes. Like I think the Demogorgon in the first season was scary.
Yeah.
I think the second season, the Mind Flayer, third season, you don't really know what the Mind Flayer is, but then it like turns people inside out and is absorbing them and becomes like a physical shape and stuff. Like that was really cool.
But that's not in season 2. We never see like
He just draws the Mind
Yeah,
Flayer,
just like,
right?
oh,
yeah,
he's going.
and the Mind Flayer is like it like possesses Will or whatever, and then they're like fighting to free him, and then at the end of that one, is that the end of season 3 where she closes the portal?
No, that's season 2.
She does it season 2.
Because she's wearing
Season
her
3, Joyce and
Yeah.
Hopper do, but season 2, she.
Oh,
Ellen
and
does.
season 3, there's another portal because the Russians make it.
Yep.
And then they close that one with the machine. It's always like a portal open, then it closes. This is the first season where
portal still open.
portal's still open.
Yep.
Or is it?
We don't really know.
Whatever.
That was one of my big nitpicks is in the VFX shot. It's like Hawkins is gone, which was awesome. I was like, hey, wow, they really like something big just happened. This is cool. But then it's not really that big of a deal. Like the people are just like in the school gym.
Yeah.
And they drive right up to the epicenter of the giant portal earthquake. And like it's pretty okay.
It sort of makes sense to me now because I'm like, okay, it looks like the government has like sectioned off the parts of the town that were like the portals were there. And then it's like people have gathered in other areas, so they still think it's an earthquake. You see the helicopters going around. It's like, okay, it seems like they got things under control there. But I think the portals are still open, but Vecna is too weak to do anything at the moment.
Oh, I see.
So that's
it's
why Will
glowing
is like,
red.
I can feel him. He's suffering. So he's not like going full on attack yet.
Yep.
But this is what I was confused about because they defeat Vecna. Or do they? When does Max die? Max, okay, right. So they defeat Vecna. He gets blown out the window, and then Max is like,
I can't see. I can't see.
And you're like, oh, maybe she'll survive. But then she dies, and then that triggers things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, but Vecna isn't doing that because he's too weak. So it's like, what is the force that's being called on here to like actually open these portals?
I think
Like,
it was just the portals themselves. Maybe it was like some weird curse or something.
yeah,
Like
but that's why I'm confused, because it seems like up till this point, it's been like the powers are like based in science, sort of, where it's like, okay, we have telekinesis, you have telepathy, but it's not like magic, you know? It's like there's like mutated creatures, and you know, like it's not magic. So but it seems like this is like, okay, I have to kill 4 people and that'll open 4 portals and then that'll
4
do
people
something.
in certain
But it's like
spots,
according
too.
to what? It's like there's some black magic going on that just like triggers a portal to open when you kill 4 people. Like, who's doing it?
Well, I think that's like there's basically just like a fault line in the reality, or like the fabric between realities, and so from the up. Well,
I like this
interpret it-
headcanon. It's not in the movie.
It's probably not.
Yeah.
I love headcanon.
But I like it. It's making sense.
From the inside out, from the upside down. They've been like magic mining the whole time, so they've been creating the fault lines, but they needed like from the other side to drill enough so to like trigger the explosion.
That
so, like,
sort of makes sense.
They've been mining, they created the holes, but they needed just like the final like little TNTs
Right.
to go off, and then that's
Duffer
the
Brothers,
final
take note.
TNT.
Take note. That's the new
Duffer
answer.
Brothers,
hire me.
season 5
Yeah.
cameos from the
I wanna see-
Pixar movie Inside Out. The emotions
Demogorgons
show up.
mining.
It's out of Vecna. The movie starts inside the mouth of Vecna.
That'd be so good.
What's going on inside his head?
Oh man.
I always thought he was terrifying,
Vecna.
especially when you didn't know who he was. I mean,
Yeah.
the actual character itself. But then once we found out who it was, I was like, it's just kind of some kind of stinky dude in a costume. And I was really like, taken like out of the moment every time I saw him. I
I
was like,
feel it.
it's just kind of like he got a bunch of plastic on his face.
I also was like, why is he just a humanoid? We've had all these crazy beasts and
Yeah.
monsters. It's
Yeah.
like, I am a dude. And I'm like, oh, man, it's a dude.
the one hand too. Why'd they only give him one big hand? Why not 2 big hands?
Because it looks cool. I don't know.
Maybe in the next season he'll evolve
his
to be
crab.
some bigger being, and they just needed to make it like humanoids, so that works as foreshadowing that it is a person.
See, yeah. I don't know. I think at first I was like, this seems kind of doinky that like we had like the crazy
Doinky.
doinky.
Dink doinky.
Seems kind of dink doinky. Like in the first season we had the Demogorgon, which is just like we don't even know what the hell what like we don't have a concept of what that is. And then in the second one it's like Mind Flayer. Okay, it's not just the Demogorgon. There's this broader force. It's like this force that lives in the Upside Down and it's trying to destroy us. And then we kind of we've pushed that back, and now we're it's like, okay, what else can we do? Let's have a mutated guy. He's got missing his nose and he's got a big hand. Big hand guy.
Crap.
So I was like, I don't know about this. But then as the season kept progressing, I think his characterization was done very well. And I think that it was clear that he's just not, he wasn't just like I'm an evil guy. It's like he was, the emotion grounded it. Like the fact that he was going after characters with trauma, with mental struggles. Like I think that really worked because it grounds the conflict instead of just being evil guy trying to kill people. It's like evil guy is going after these things that are very relatable to teenagers and stuff. Like you don't know what's going on in the world. You're confused. You're
You kind of remind me of Thanos in that way of like he had a logical reason of why humans should be extinct.
It's so
like,
dumb.
They are the pests.
It's so
What's
dumb.
dumb?
Like,
What's
okay.
dumb?
He's just like a big walking monologue, and it's so annoying. It's just
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that's
just like
true.
scare me, jump scare me, kill me.
Even when he's talking with little kids, he's like, "Let me tell you my story." It's like, oh,
See, one of the things I
Ethan
really
just wants brain numb jump scares.
Russia.
one of the things the show does really well is giving you all these bits of Vecna's backstory and then bringing it all together at one point. Once you realize that Vecna is that kid that was part of that possession story, it all comes together and you're like, oh wow, we've been given so much information, and I really found that really satisfying. That like his childhood trauma grew into his childhood trauma is the reason that he was brought into the facility, which was the reason that he amped up his trauma, which is the reason he had access to Alec. It felt like it all really did work together. It didn't feel like a bunch of random things.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that.
Like the Demogorgon was that sort of like there's no personal emotional aspect to it. What is wrong with you?
This whole show is so weird. The more we talk about it, There's just like 30 characters all doing random
Yeah, there's
stuff.
too many characters
Kill
now.
some.
They should probably kill some.
I can't wait for the re-release where they put it in order and like the different storylines, so I can just watch Russia, I can just watch California, and I can just watch
Yeah.
Hawkins.
Oh,
and it'll
California would
great.
be-
The Russia cut.
California will be 10 minutes long
Yeah.
of just Mike.
Just smoke.
Where's
But, like-
Mike? Mike is such a good character.
So,
So
Ethan, are
annoying.
you trying to tell me that you would rather have just like another Demogorgon style villain where there's no personal, there's no emotional aspect to it? It's just evil monster. We got to fight it.
No, I really enjoy the show. I just sometimes it's crazy, man.
It's a crazy show.
Dude,
I will.
there's just too many stinky guys.
Yeah.
Okay, one final nitpick for me. We already kind of touched on it. Mike is not the heart. That was like one of those scenes where like, I know what you're trying to do, but like
The painting
nah,
was so funny.
nah.
If
Yeah.
my friend gave me that painting, I'd be like, ha, 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 ha. Like, and I get it. There
Wait,
is that
what
weird.
painting? What are you talking
What
about?
he's
The one
like
Will
on the
had
D&D
painted.
group.
And,
thought
like, I
the
get it.
painting
There's
was
that
kinda
tension of
sweet,
like
yeah.
Will kind of likes Mike.
Yeah.
But I'd be like, ha, 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 whoa, that's really scary. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, Mike is not. He's always been like the kind of jokey class clown one. Not. I don't think any of them would be the heart.
No.
None of them are really heartful.
Steve.
I feel like-
Steve is the heart. Maybe
I feel
Dustin.
like Will-
Lucas is the nice one.
See, I feel like I mean, Dustin could be the heart.
I was gonna say maybe
But I
Dustin.
think Dustin also fulfills that sort
He's
of
the
like
ego.
nerdy aspect of just kind of like, no, we have a plan and this is going to work out. Like, you know, he's setting up things. But I think that's definitely what Mike served as in the first one. Because he was like that. He was like what grounded Eleven, you know, because I
Yes.
think they were all friends with her and stuff. But Mike was there, and it wasn't like it was sort of romantic at the end of season 1. But before that, he was there and just being like, you know, I'm here to go through these struggles with you. I like, tell me how you're feeling. Like I'm here to support you. And I think in that sense, he is the heart for 11. He grounds 11,
Yes.
who gets lost in this sort of like, I'm a superhero and I was part of experiments and I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's up and down. And he's like, hey, look at me, you know, like this is what's real. Our friendship, this group, this party.
It worked for me like when he's reaching out to her through like when she's in the upside down.
Yeah,
Like,
that was great.
That worked for me, but
It was stupid because of the Max thing, but
yeah, but
taking too long.
Yeah, the idea that he is the heart just was like it felt so bad writery to me. Where I'm like the Duffer Brothers, because of like you said, season 1, like maybe in season 1 he was the heart, but they've kind of floundered to make Mike as likable as they once did. And so to make this move, it was like it felt really out of touch with how Mike has been coming across.
I feel like it's part of that is just like struggling to figure out what to do with characters when they become teenagers.
That's fair.
And it's like when they were just kids and all they had to worry about was just like playing D&D in their
And being
basement.
cute, yeah.
And now you're getting into like romantic drama things, like
I really like that
adult
they're all
things.
separate now. It's like Lucas is on the basketball team,
Right.
and like Mike doesn't want to be hanging out at home all the time. And
Yeah.
as a girlfriend, I did appreciate that, and I did again really like the earlier episodes where they were more separate. Where I was like, oh, there's no explanation of like why Lucas and Max aren't together. You just piece it together that she's going through some deep trauma,
Yeah.
and he wants to play sports and be
Yeah,
cool. Like
assemble
that just
time.
makes sense.
Yep.
So I did actually really enjoy that.
I love Lucas's little arc from going from like, okay, I'm part of this nerdy group, but I don't want to be nerdy anymore. I want to be cool. And then he chooses to reject it because he realizes what that leads to. And at first I was kind of worried because in the previous seasons, they seem to always have Lucas do some stupid shit. Like he's like in season 1, he's the one who's like, we can't trust Elle, she's the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. And then in season 2 and 3, I forget exactly what happens, but I remember thinking like they're doing Lucas dirty again by like having him be the guy that's like skeptical and he like,
Yeah, he's like the rational one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make sense in this context.
exactly. He's like, think about it. This doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It's
And
like
so,
literally a psychic being right there. Yeah.
right.
Yes.
And so in this one, I love how they kind of make you think that he's going to go along with the basketball team for a second. And you're like, oh man, are they
Yeah,
going to do
because
him
even where
dirty
he
again?
takes them, I was like, he actually took them to Eddie. Wow. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, it wasn't. It just
Yeah.
is another place that is run down. Okay.
But then he has a crisis of conscience. Jeez Louise. Yeah. And he switches tacks. And then he like makes up with Max. And that whole storyline of him grounding her in the same way that like Mike is grounding Elle, I thought was
It felt
it's like
very
poetry.
cute.
It rhymes.
it felt really earned too at the end when like when he's holding her and stuff. Like, it felt like there was a season's worth of build up to that moment.
Yeah.
And it felt like such a release. I think that was maybe one of my favorite emotional payoffs in the entire show. Really enjoyed it.
I love it.
Really
I
fucking
have
enjoyed
some more hit picks though. Great moment in episode 8 when they go to the prison and they what?
Sorry,
What's so funny?
I just want to click this.
We already did that.
Maybe you have not paid attention enough to
Okay.
these shows, but I've never heard that before.
Have you listened to the podcast ever?
I'm not the whole podcast.
Wow. Awkward. I've at least listened to one, and it was the one I was on. So
Did you always have this?
Oh my god.
No, it's pretty recent.
Yeah,
That's like
somewhat-
couple months.
Yeah, a couple months.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, episode 8 at the end when they see the whooshing cloud sand cloud thing. Did you guys have any idea what that
the
was?
whooshing
Sandman.
sand cloud? What?
The whooshing sand cloud.
The
Sound
particles.
cloud.
The
That was the
particles.
mind flare thing.
I'm a SoundCloud rapper.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. No, in the prison when they see the particles
I
for the first time.
totally
Yeah.
forgot.
I'm
that.
like, I have no idea what that is. And I think that was like, I wrote down that like, this is what this show is really good at. And I feel like that's what it kind of, it got too good at explaining exactly what's going on. Part of what made season 1 so good is just like seeing something and having maybe sort of an idea what's going on, but at the same time, you don't know. And you're like, what the fuck is that? What am I looking at? What is this dripping gloopy stuff coming out of a hole in the wall?
Yep.
Like, I just don't know.
Yep.
And I think that like, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to get back to that point in season 5, but I like how parts of this season we're able to kind of recapture some of that magic, making us ask, how is this happening? What's going on? So that was good.
There was part of that, I think, around the same time in the show where it showed it going in Will's nose. I think that was from
Yeah.
the first...
Second
was it
season.
Second season?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I forgot about like
Same.
2 whole seasons worth of show here.
Right.
It's crazy.
I've totally repressed season 2. All I remember is Elle and Hopper fighting.
It's
That's
Halloween.
all I remember.
That's
Yeah.
all I know.
God, I hated that season.
I have a minor nitpick.
Yeah.
I just gapped. Go ahead. I was thinking about Halloween in season 2. Which
Just
I forgot.
gapped.
Yeah. I forgot.
What are you talking about?
I forgot my nitpick.
Oh, you forgot
just
your nitpick.
immediately
I was
forgot
like-
it. I was like, oh, that really. Oh, yes. So
was like-
Patrick, the other sports guy who gets possessed.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they just spent like 30 seconds and shown a flashback. It was super weird that everyone else has this trauma. They show or explain Chrissy's trauma. They show
The nerd kid.
Fred's trauma, and then Patrick just like is possessed and died. And later Luke is like, I think I saw him with a black eye once. And I was like, oh, like
Yeah, that was,
it would have been cool if you'd like spent maybe just
Something.
a second and just shown a flashback of like the trauma.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was convenient to possess him at that time, and I was like, all right.
We couldn't possibly add 10 more minutes to this episode. We're really strapped for time here.
I 100% agree. I think they could have just done just the smallest bit of characterization. It would have enriched it. But I do love that moment when they're chasing Eddie and then he flies out of the water and you're like, how is Jason going to interpret this? And he interprets it in the absolute worst way possible.
Yeah,
And
just
you're
like
we were
it's-
chasing
it's
him,
the
and
devil.
Eddie chose him and killed
Yeah.
him.
Well, but
So,
honestly, it kind of makes sense from his perspective
sure.
because he thinks that Eddie is part of this like satanic cult or whatever,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he sees like a supernatural thing happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the insane amount of Eddie costumes this Halloween.
Oh yeah. I just gotta say, I kind of missed saying this earlier, but like I love how Eddie is sort of like most of the like we have these like young nerdy dudes, and
30-year-old Eddie.
yeah,
He's
somehow
22,
in high
right?
school.
yeah,
20,
like
20.
older Eddie who's also into D&D, and I think it was nice seeing the sort of like progression of the D&D character who isn't like a kid. Because I think we have these kids who are into D&D and nerdy stuff, and the adults who are like boring older people, or Steve who's like cool and not into that stuff. And I think that contrast has always been interesting. But I love how we have Eddie here, who is obviously kind of a fuck up, and he's like got his own trauma and like, you know, stuff that he's dealing with, but he's able to be this sort of like support to the kids and show them that like things are going to be okay, you know?
Even if you fail, you can be a drug dealer.
Even if you fail and are still in high school at 20, you can do it.
Yeah. And then he has that arc where he like, you know, he always runs away and then he doesn't run away, and that's cool. But I just love the
He talks
inclusion
about how
of him.
jealous of Steve he is.
I love Eddie, but his arc was so telegraphed. Like I saw a bunch of people predict exactly
Yeah.
how he was going to die.
Well, especially-
like he'll play a guitar thing that'll draw people, and he'll die. Be like, I'm not running away this time. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
It was pretty cheesy, but the show is cheesy.
It's
you know, that's
cheesy.
what we're
I
there
wish he
for.
used the guitar as an axe, because I'm like, it looks so weapon-like if he just like swung that. No.
I wish it was
Major-
like a Brutal Legend. You know, he plays it and like brings lightning down from the sky. That would sick.
There's like something going on in the Upside Down. Major nitpick, okay? Robin's love interest, which like it's cool to have that, you know, representation and stuff. But why did they make her love interest literally the same character as
The
her?
same character.
The same, like that's not
The
what
same
that's
quirky,
not
relatable character.
that's not what you do. You don't like take two characters who are literally the same and they're like they're perfect for each
I just
other.
hope they don't end up together and in season 5 talking and being quirky. I'm just like, no.
Yeah, it's like this is not gonna go well.
Yeah.
You're both like, sometimes I get so anxious and I just can't stop talking. Yeah, me neither. I can't stop talking either. Yeah, they're just talking over each other. Blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
It's like maybe they'll like even each other out and then become like it's just like that. Just it seemed weird to me.
I 100% agree. Okay, my last nitpick is when Ella's floating in the pizza freezer and her ears are under the water and she's talking with people as if you can hear people when your ears are underwater. Not a thing. You can't fucking hear shit when your ears
She can hear them psychically.
Well, that's the thing. You could headcanon it
So
away
much for
sure.
sensor deprivation.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like here's them talking. She's
when
responding.
she's touching the edge of the freezer that's probably still cold and like this is the worst sensory deprivation. And her glasses covered in cardboard, like that shit would like
but it's
flake
so
off.
cute.
Those
I
were
love those
dope.
glasses. Yeah.
Okay.
My last
fine.
nitpick is Mike's dad is the worst. Mike and Nancy's dad always being like, I hate when you kids are over here. Doesn't show up when the kids come back home. Nancy has flashbacks and like imagines her family dying. Her dad doesn't even show up. Like that dad is the worst.
He has
I love
like
him.
one moment in this where I'm like, okay, maybe they're doing something where they're watching the news and the news is being like, wow, it's Eddie's fault or whatever, and he like turns it off and he's like, man, like the news is just turning into tabloids, and I'm like, okay, it's like a
But
minor
he's also
10% wokeness.
Oh, are you saying that, they could be killers? She's like, whoa. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm like, oh my God.
I just love him so much. He's just
got
so
such a
like
funny face.
He's so oblivious to like this like world ending stuff is going on around him and he's just like, oh, I don't like these
Well, I remember-
weather recently. Like,
Yeah.
Season 3 when like Mrs. Wheeler is like gonna go with Billy, and then it cuts her to her at home and she sees him with the daughter, and I was like, wait, that's her husband? And I'm like, I've seen them together a million times, but I'm still like, him?
Who are you talking about, sorry?
Nancy, like the mom.
Mike and Nancy's mom.
Yeah.
She's a babe.
Oh, okay.
The curly blonde hair.
And in season 3, her and Billy almost
Oh,
go on
right.
a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
Your bully comes home with your mom.
I'm glad that didn't go anywhere.
Are you
Jeez
guys
Louise.
hoping that next season is a big time jump? Because that's what they said, is that there's going to be a time jump to make it so that they're going to be the age of the actors.
I kind of hope so, but also kind of don't, because like how they're just gonna explain this glowing red crack for 3 years that they just like
Yeah, I don't understand.
left.
I mean, this was 8 months after season 3, and they're definitely going to be cheating things a little bit with like these 20-year-old people now who are like.
Finn looks old. I like how they even joke. It's like, who's this weird twig boyfriend of yours? Because he's just like so tall and scrawny.
He's so lanky.
Like
I
11
love
and
it.
Dustin are the only ones that look like kids, and like Lucas a little bit.
11 barely even now. She's like grown-up person. Dustin looks
But
like
honestly,
a kid.
it's crazy seeing like the flashbacks of the earlier seasons and how Max and Elle look a little like they look a little different, but not much.
Yeah, Max looks
and the
the
boys
same.
all look so.
different.
It's like there's male puberty for you right there.
I feel like
It
Will
just
looks pretty
chisels things out.
close.
It's because he's tall.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's
Like go
easier.
like
Square
look,
now.
You're right.
look at them
Compared
next
to
to
them.
each other, and it's just like it's crazy. My last hit pick is Erica, Lucas's sister. When she like gets caught by the basketball guy, and then she escapes from him. She hits him with the flashlight, and I didn't even see it because I watch everything with subtitles, and it wasn't on the subtitles. But she says "crit hit," and she hits him. I'm like, that's so
That's
great.
So good. I like that scene.
I like
She
her a lot in this.
knees him and hits him in the face. They've really done a good job with her because she was such a nothing character, but they kept her
Yeah.
around, and now she's great. Every
She
time
was
I was like,
the standout. Well, I mean, she was a character in season 1, 2.
she's around.
She's
she'll say
around, but
lines.
she's like super minor.
Yeah.
And I love how
In
they
season
brought her
3,
into
she
the.
does a few things.
Yeah, because she like gets them in deeper in the mall and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
she helps them infiltrate.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
she never goes too far into that like
Yeah.
sassy sister.
No.
It's always like a balance where she actually cares about them, other than when she like tries to get them arrested. She's like, they're lying. Look at the couch is on
Yeah.
fire. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get them arrested? Like, what is going
Yeah,
on?
but I think
But
that's
otherwise,
like
she's really funny.
I love her dynamic with Lucas. They're just so funny. How
I'll
like,
tell him what's under your bed. You don't want me to tell Dustin, do you? He's like, No, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. It's like, what is it?
When Eddie's like, what's your character? Like they're bringing her to be the character because they need a person to bring in. Eddie's like, what's your character level 1 dwarf? And she like goes off and she like gives like the full description. I'm like, nice.
That's sick.
Fucking tight.
Fucking tight.
Nice.
I don't have any more notes.
I have now playings that are kind of timely.
Okay.
I'm going to skip a bunch of them because they're just TV shows. We can talk about them anytime. Yo, the Orville's back though. Shit, man. That shit's fucking good. That was the best episode like ever. But I watched Elvis.
Oh, you did? Yeah, you said you were going to see that anyways.
Yes.
We were maybe going to do that this week, and then we're like...
I think we could have done it.
Or last week.
Last week.
We did the thing instead.
Which is a good choice. It's really good. It's kind of exhausting in the way that epic like biopics are.
Yeah.
And it's one of those movies, you know how Elvis ends. He died a fucking sad, miserable, drug-addicted fuck.
Awesome.
But it does a really good job making you appreciate the artist, and like it left me with a sense of like longing for what could have been if he was allowed to live his life. And holy fuck, when I first saw the trailer with Austin Butler as Elvis, I was like, who is this guy? What the hell? He is Elvis. There was times I watched him, I'm like, I forget what Elvis looks like. He just that's just fucking Elvis.
It's
like,
funny because he has Austin Butler has a very distinctive look.
Yes.
I wouldn't peg him as like, oh, that guy could be Elvis.
Yeah.
He looks like he should be the front man of like a Mariana's Trench type of gothy thing. But
he's phenomenal in this. And like I'm pretty picky about musical biopics. Like I think Rami Malek was super overrated as Freddie Mercury. He was pretty good, but I never was like, that's Freddie Mercury. I was always like, that's Rami Malek with the dental appliance.
Man, I feel like I just avoid these like musical star biopics. I just feel like
them?
No, they're just, I don't know, they're kind of boring a lot of the time because it's like based on a real person's life. So it seems like it's rare that they can like fish out a satisfying character arc out of someone's like real life thing, because that's not how real life is most of the time.
This one is definitely a tragedy, and it's framed that way. But it's the framing device they use is that the movie's a lot about his manager or his like business.
Tom Hanks doing
so
a weird accent.
So it's a Dutch accent because he was a Dutch person that's like revealed that he
screwed him up.
But the movie starts with the him dying. And so the whole movie is like his dying memories. It's like reliving the Elvis memories as he's dying. Like the last spoilers for Elvis, everyone dies.
Yeah, it's fine.
But
before they're resurrected by aliens.
Like, the final frames, you guys don't care about the spoiler,
no.
Right? Audience, leave it in the comments. Skip ahead 30 seconds, I guess. The final frames of the movie is the flashback of real Elvis. So it does a hard cut from Austin Butler Elvis to real Elvis and does a montage of that. So he's already died in the movie, but it goes back to his final performance. And it's really powerful when it cuts to real Elvis. Like I like teared up, and it's like really sad because like you're like, the real Elvis looks so sick and he's so miserable, but he's still an incredible performer. And he does this performance of the ghost song, oh my love, my darling.
Oh, okay.
And it's so good. And it cuts to like all these different things we've seen in the movie, but it's real Elvis. But then it shows like all these flashing lights as if it was the photo, and then the Colonel lies down, and then the lights kind of stop going. They go slower and slower as if it's like his mental activity like fading out.
Oh, wow.
And then it's like one last one, and then it just fades out. And it was a really cool final frame. Like it gave me goosebumps.
Oh, interesting.
I just spoiled the end of the movie. You're back now. Spoilers over.
It now. I can't.
Overall, solid 7.8.
7.8.
7.8. I really enjoyed it. I'll never watch it again because it's a 3-hour sad, tragic movie, but it was very good.
Dang. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm glad that you watched it and kind of gave me the lowdown, because I don't think I'm going to watch it.
You know if you want to watch this kind of movie. Not everyone wants to watch a 3-hour Elvis sad tragedy.
Yeah. For me, the only now playing thing I've got going is the Obi-Wan.
Tell me about Obi-Wan
finale.
You like it?
That show sucks.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Ethan?
No. Do you know me, bro?
It's not one of the 3 shows I've watched in my whole life.
Don't make this your 4th.
And all I gotta say about it is what I said earlier, where like Disney Plus is like, if they were gonna make a show that was actually like good, this would have been it. You got Ewan McGregor. It's the most anticipated Disney Star Wars show.
Did great numbers, I think.
And it's
right?
still dog water.
It did do
even though it's
good
that
numbers,
popular.
but like, it's just a perfect illustration of what Disney is doing with Star Wars right now, which is just like, people want an Obi-Wan Kenobi show, so let's just throw one together and put it on there. That's basically what it is. It's not super satisfying. It's filling in plot details that we didn't need to know. It's bending over backwards to try and like make something interesting happen and then reverse it in time for everything to be set up for New Hope. So because it takes
there's
place
no
in between.
drama when you know that these people survive. They
Yeah.
put people in danger. You're like, obviously they survive.
Yeah, and the last episode is good, but it's like, why did I have to wade through 5 episodes of filler to get to this
literally nothing.
one good episode?
Well, I feel like that one frame of Darth Vader's helmet shattered with his eye coming through, like that's the point of the
Yeah.
show when he sees Obi-Wan and then goes like a moment of Anakin and then back.
Right, but even that is kind of empty because they already did that in Rebels.
Yeah.
We've already, I mean, so like have the mainstream people who are just going to watch every Star Wars thing that comes out, just because, are they all familiar with that? No, but it's just kind of cheap, especially when you know that Dave Filoni did both of those things.
Yeah.
And he's just done this thing where like Darth Vader confronts someone from his past and has an emotional, powerful moment when his mask gets sliced. It's just like, we've already done this already. Like, let's go to something, which is why I'm not going to watch, like, I think Andor, which is the next series that's coming out, I think it's supposed to be good, but I am not going to watch it.
I'll wait.
As a Star Wars fan, this is hard for me to say. I wanted some appreciation of how hard this is for me, guys. Thank you.
so
Thank you.
brave.
I'm really proud of you.
I am not going to watch it until I hear that it's really good.
I think that's
Hashtag I stand with Riley. Put that down in the comments.
Yeah, I feel like the Star Wars has always had that problem of just telling the same story, or it's currently in a cycle of telling the same story with longer and more detail. And the fact that they're considering a season 2 of Obi-Wan, like,
Kill me.
what
When it
the
wasn't
fuck?
supposed to, too.
Yeah,
it's like
like-
we told the story, but people like it. We'll squeeze out another.
Yeah, and like I don't understand what they're gonna do except just like more shitty ass fan service.
Yeah.
That should be like a 20-minute special.
It's literally just member berries.
Yeah,
the
member
whole
berries.
thing is just member berries now. And like, yeah, there were some good character moments. There were some good character moments in the show. I liked some bits. You know, it's not a garbage show.
Yeah.
It's just that overall, are we gonna continue? Is Star Wars? Is this all Star Wars is? Is Star Wars just 6.5? You know, okay, some okay fights.
And they put in a meme. They're like, make them say hello there. People go nuts.
Yeah, it's just like, is this all Star Wars is? Can we not aspire to something better?
I know. So
Like, look at Dune. Dune is amazing. Can we not make a Dune
It's-
quality thing
Dune
set in
2.
Star Wars?
No, you can't. I don't think Star Wars is.
You can.
do that.
It's just like they're too dumb to do it. Anyways,
Anyways,
I'm done.
Wait, if you were to give me one suggestion of a show to watch, or just like literally anything,
Severance.
that's our recent thing. Yes,
Yeah?
Severance is awesome.
Maybe when season 2 comes out.
Yep. I would highly recommend Severance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because then you have to wait until season 2. But definitely Severance at some point.
Any of you guys
That's very
watching
good.
The Boys
Nah.
I've watched the first few episodes.
of the first season?
I'm cynical about
Oh,
the
I like
cynical
the recent one.
superhero take now.
Missing out. It's good. They are not subtle, but it's the world we live in does not need subtle.
Cynical evil superhero take is so played out now.
So
It's as played out as superheroes were that made people want to make the cynical superhero thing.
I think on the surface you're right, but I think the show does a lot with its angles. Like there's now 2 different spoilers for The Boys.
No boy spoilers.
Most boilers.
No boy spoilers.
Just
But
need
it's
to
very
watch it.
very
I'm
minor.
watching it.
Very minor. There's now 2
But to do it.
evil white supremacist American characters that have different dimension, and they're kind of exploring like this different push pull of like
What is this?
If we're just upset about the spoiler.
Oh.
it's
Now that we
a-
know that.
it's not a
No,
spoiler.
I'm
It's not
kidding.
really a spoiler. So there's 2 different like angles at which they're approaching like white supremacy and like this American exceptionalism problem that we have. And so
Right.
there is more like there's more to it than just like, look, Superman's evil. What happens if power corrupts? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the way I heard it described that I thought was interesting is it's not what if superheroes were evil, is what if superheroes were owned by corporations.
Right.
And that's kind of a more interesting take to me. And
Yeah.
so, I don't know. You got to watch it. I won't accept
I watched
your take.
I watched all of season 1. or most of season 1. Anyways, I gave it a chance.
Fair enough.
I'm just, I think I turn it on and I'm just like, everything sucks. I don't know. That's not what I'm looking for.
You know what doesn't suck? Clone High. That's what
okay.
I'm rewatching.
Nice.
Really?
You're rewatching.
I'm not watching anything new, but I am watching Clone High again.
Nice.
Because that show freaking rocks.
Hell yeah.
Is that Chris Lord and Phil Miller?
It sure is, and they're rebooting it.
Wait, did I say that the opposite way? Chris Miller, Phil Lord. That's what it is.
Yeah, they're remaking it.
Cool.
I'm assuming without Gandhi, because that's one of the reasons it got canceled, is because their depiction of Gandhi.
Really?
But I watched it back on Teletoon as a kid, and I've like rewatched it every few years since. And I just came across a really cool poster of Clone High, so I bought it and I started rewatching it because again, it what a show! Watch it.
A show!
You don't have to love history, but you will get a lot more if you do.
Okay, give me the.
Wait,
the-
is there
the
actually
1
like?
minute.
Is it actually fulfilling
Those
if you're
clones
like,
of, like,
I know
historical
about
figures,
history?
right?
Yeah, but I thought it was just kind of based on like stereotypes.
No, but like you'll get why like Marie Curie is like horribly disfigured and gross, and it's because she's like the mother of radiation and stuff like that. So there's like puns, and if you know someone's history, you're like, oh, that just makes more
But the
sense.
show kind of tells you too, right?
Sometimes, yeah, because MTV was like, oh, you know, our audience might not get these jokes,
Right, exactly.
So like, try to make them more like Sigmund Freud's literally like dancing and being pompous and like, oh, maybe that means you love your mother and like very over the top. But like, you'll appreciate it more if you know history.
If you're a learned person.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, David? Did I interrupt you?
No.
And if you are a learned person, a game to check out: Shotgun King: The Final Checkmate. It's a chess game where you are just the king. And you have a shotgun, and you have to fight the other pieces while playing chess and trying not to get captured.
What?
Very fun.
That's wild.
I have nothing more to say.
gosh.
Play those, watch that, and play that.
Ethan? Okay, you're not watching a show, but make up a
TikTok.
show. Make up a show that you would watch.
What
have you guys
TikTok
seen
channel you watching?
TikTok?
Have you guys seen TikTok right now? It's crazy. Stinky.
Sorry, wait. What did you say before that?
Nothing.
No, tell me.
I was going to say you're not watching a show, but make up a show that you would
Make up a
watch.
show? Okay, so it starts with this. There's 4 dudes.
You're actually just ready to go, or are you just going? Is this like, whose line is it anyway? Improv right now? What is
You
this?
said make up a show, so I just said this starts with 4 dudes. There's 4 of us sitting right here.
Oh, okay, go. There's 4 dudes.
Yo, I lost it.
Wow.
Yeah, I ruined it. I really ruined it. I'm
That
sorry. I
was
was
easy.
just, I think I was just in awe. I was like, whoa, I'm witnessing this.
4 brothers.
Everyone.
Four,
you know.
4 guys on a mission to
Sitting
save
in
the
a
world.
hot tub, 6 feet apart.
Well, I guess we are gay because we're not 6 feet apart.
I have one minor fan service that I need to address. I've been obsessing about it
You can click
since
the button.
10 minutes ago before the show, and I saw it.
Man,
This is like an NFL football theme.
I like
Thank you for
this.
tuning in to ABC
yeah,
Sports.
you're really holding the candle for James here with the segments,
Hell
David.
yeah,
Nice
look, I
job.
need a responsibility. Come on, David. A 1982 remake, The Thing, of a 1951 movie, The Thing from Another World, adapted from a 1938 novella, Who Goes There, really can't be considered a copy of a 1979 movie, Alien, says Aaron W. Thank you for your comment, Aaron W. First off, we did mention that the novella inspired the movie, so maybe listen a
Whoa.
little bit better next time.
Jeez Louise.
Second of all, get ratioed.
I will admit, I didn't know. I'm teasing, by the way. Thank you for your comment. I love you.
Yeah, we take back the ratio.
I will admit, I actually didn't know the movie was connected, and then I looked it up, and you clearly have never seen the movie. It is not the same story.
Oh.
Look at the Wikipedia, my friend.
Okay.
Look at the Wikipedia. I will say the book is pretty similar, but it's very different, and I will stand by what I said, that The Thing is clearly inspired by elements of Alien. If you look at the book and the way the movie is, it's quite different, and there's like an aesthetic or like small little choices and like pacing orders where like they go from a group of 12 people down to like basically one person, whereas in the novella there's like 40 people and there's like 20 people left at the end. Like it's a totally different vibe.
Yeah, the movie's inspired by Among Us.
Yes. But I will say that I was wrong
Amogus.
a little bit, but mostly not.
Nice. And that's what you'll get. All right. I'll read a fan service comment. Juan Sanchez says, we wouldn't have Amogus if it weren't for this movie. 10 out of 10 IGN. Thank you, Juan Sanchez.
Among Us.
That's from The Thing. Okay, that's it. We've been going for way too long.
This is a long episode.
Thanks for watching. What do you do, David? You're the guy.
You go to @TJMPod on Twitter and TikTok and OnlyFans.
TikTok?
No,
TikTok?
no, we don't.
You should make one.
We should, though.
Trust me, I'll
and
do it for you.
OnlyFans.
Maybe we were going to do like mini reviews on TikTok or something.
Well, I wanted to do shorts.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below, or send us an email at hello@they'rejustmovies.com.
I love the way you say that. And I love the way you listen to the podcast. Come on back next week. We're covering, what are we doing? Thor, Love and Thunder. It's a girl Thor. What? Mind blown.
They said it was impossible.
Okay, love you. What about you guys?
Bye.
Not much.
You don't
We're friends.
love them? Wow.